Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching this, I want to welcome you to the Gaming Circle podcast. The podcast where this week we're going a little bit old school, man. Where we're going old school. For those who happen to be watching this on video, as you can see, we are not using our newfangled tools that we've been blessed with in 2022. We've reverted back to StreamYard, and there's a reason for that. I will explain. As well as seeing me not on video this week, and I will explain that as well. But before we do all that explaining, I will first like to welcome the man who shows up at the very late hour, but even when he's late, he's on time. Mr. Co-host extraordinaire, Mr. Everborn Saga. How you doing this morning, sir?
You're goddamn right. Even when I'm wrong, I'm right. And when I'm late, I'm on time.
See, I was like, man, he's gonna show up, 5 minutes late, just to make sure everybody sees him enter the room. But of course,
fashionably late is what they call it.
Right in the nick of time. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. Okay, we'll get to you, but let me also welcome my guest this week, which I'm very excited to have him join because he had me on his show with his crew, and it was great fun, lots of conversation. As we do, we like to have these great gaming conversations, and his show provides that in spades. So if you're not watching, please make sure you subscribe to his channel and go check him out. Risk It for the Biscuit, the host of the Xbox Infinite podcast. What's going on, sir?
Glad How you doing, man? Thank you. I'm glad to be here, man. I'm not firing on all cylinders today, so you guys will have to cut me a bit of a break. I've come down with the flu like last minute. But I'm still stoked to be here. The show must go on, and we had a ball having you on the show, man, and I'm just stoked to be here. Let's get into it.
Thank you. Your Xbox Infinite is with Umbra, right?
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yes. It was a great time. We had a great time on that show. Yeah. They always have great, interesting conversation. They always argue like we do. So I always appreciate it.
All right. So Risk It. Who is the Everborn of your group? Meaning who usually wins the arguments?
Get out of here with the BS.
That's me every time.
Okay, I like you already.
But okay, so for the video viewers out there who are wondering why it is I'm not on cam, my child poked me in the eyeball a couple days ago, and as children do, they always have nice fun stuff on their hands. So now it looks like Mike Tyson punched me in the face. Basically, is what it looks like. So I don't want to derail the conversation with my crazy looks, so I'm going off video today. And as far as why we are old school this week, it is because there's a huge renovation happening in my place, and as such, I've had to dismantle my PC. So I'm running this laptop style, and laptop does not have the capability to handle all the various pluses that we've added to the show this week. So we will be back in our actual final form. But this week we figured we'd go old school just to keep the show running, right? The show must go on, even if I'm in a construction zone as we speak. But thank you guys so much for checking out. All of a sudden, hey man, the show must go on, brother. It's all good, there's a lot to talk about. Believe it or not, people think this is a job. This is the fun time of my week. Believe it or not, if I don't have this, all I have is Elden Ring on my X screen and work. So that's all I have. And of course the kids and the family and all that too, but don't let them hear me say that. Needless to say, let us start this episode the way we always do, with the games that we have been playing. And I know that I'm sure that Mr. Everborn Saga will say Elden Ring. Have you touched anything else this week?
Absolutely not. I was playing Elden Ring up until 9:50 this morning.
Okay. So there's still Elden Ring talk to be had, and we will have that Elden Ring talk. I will say, though, I have recognized that some folks in the community are not so keen on Elden Ring anymore. Either they're over the conversation or they never wanted to jump in, and as such, the repeated talk of Elden Ring is getting on people's nerves. But it is what it is.
I got a lot to say about Elden Ring. But
that's right. We will have some Elden Ring talk. But I will ask Risk It, what have you been playing this week? Go ahead. Tell me Elden Ring.
Elden Ring. That's all I've been playing.
There we go. That's right.
That's my life for the next 3 months at least. I've got 110 hours in. I'm only level 78, pushing 80. I've lost a lot of runes, man. I've lost a lot of runes.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be playing Elden Ring until Starfield comes out. That's what it looks like right now.
Really? Even they're not even saying Tunic, but Elden.
Oh,
But
Tunic will be like a a nice little side dish for the main course. So I'll probably take off a couple of weeks to play Tunic, but I don't know. What else is coming out this year?
Well, there's a lot of stuff coming out this day, and we'll actually talk about some of the stuff coming out.
But
This day
what is actually going to come out? Like, because I know you're going to list some things, and I'm going to ask you if they're really going to come out.
State of plays that showed up, some state of plays, which we will talk about, which also had some interesting things, which we'll discuss and get your opinions on. But yeah, so it is a lot of Elden Ring here and there. What I will do, though, for those who are Elden Ringed out before we get into the Elden Ring, because there is news of Elden Ring and its sales and all of this, I will also, like, as you see, I still have some. I have some gameplay.
Okay, just 1 second, and I apologize.
Yes, no worries.
When the Winter Shoulder pointed something out, we had a loss in the community of OX3 Kal-El.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know what's going on here because like I'm in a DM, a group DM, Xbox Roundtable, I think it's called. And he was literally just talking like yesterday. He seemed like a super down to earth normal person. So I
haven't been read in on what's going on.
I'm surprised
a little bit lightly
and taken aback by it.
Yeah, what exactly happened? Like,
I have no idea. I just heard he passed, but like he was talking in the group chat yesterday, so I don't know what. And he didn't. I mean, this is Twitter, right? But like,
sure.
That is super sad. But I'd love to know if anyone knows like what it was, because that's.
Condolences to his family and friends. If we get to know any more information, we'll share it. But that is unfortunate news to hear, man. That's terrible. Wow. Let's see. He went so suddenly. We're getting updates, getting so sudden, and we currently don't know exactly what happened. But okay, we'll keep the community posted. But yeah, definitely condolences to him and his family, and his friends. That it's always so hard when you hear about these passings in the community, something you don't ever want to have to deal with, but that is part and parcel of a community. When something like this happens, we're there for each other. So, if there's anything we can do, please let us know. If there's any kind of anywhere we can donate or anything like that for his family, we're definitely ready to do that. But yes, what I want before, no way of transitioning out of the sadness, which is unfortunate. But so before we get into more Elden Ring talk, which is clearly what we're going to get into, because my guest and my co-host are all Elden Ring all the time these days, and I am too.
Here
a little
you
bit.
Go with Horizon,
but I figured I would counter-program a little bit because I have some Horizon conversation, and I also want to talk about another game that I think deserves a little bit of attention before we derail and get off on the Elden Ring tangent. But yes. So Horizon, yes, I was playing it. Some people don't like the ending of the story. I have not gotten to the ending yet. Like I've said, I played I think I put 88 hours into this game, and then I had to stop because I had to dismantle my home. Consoles, everything's dead. If it wasn't for the X screen, and it's almost like they paid me. They didn't. I paid for my own. But if it wasn't for the X screen, I would not be playing games at all, because it connects to my Series S, and then I have my little monitor screen, if you will. And I've been gaming. I've been doing a lot of Elden Ring on the Series S with my X screen, and it's been pretty amazing. I've had some epiphanies with Elden Ring, which we will discuss. But before we do that, let me really quickly.
Sounds like it has its teeth in you, but we'll.
Yeah, no doubt. That's neither here nor there. Before we do, I do want to.
Everybody goes through that journey.
I do want to highlight one thing, one piece. One interesting twist in our community, which I want to bring up here, and let me share the video. So for those who aren't aware, and if you watch any of Mr. Boomstick's programming, Double Barrel Gaming, you've heard the name Zemi Games. He has had his YouTube channel for quite some time. He used to be on one of a few of Boom's various daytime shows. And for reasons of life, he had to step away. But he recently made a game, and let me post that. Let me put that in the chat. This is literally from his from the channel. I think what's his name? It's Gold. What's the name of the production studio? the game itself, Goldenrod Games is what it's called. The game is back to school. It's not a huge game. It's not like a AAA crazy game. It's a young developer trying to make something new, and it's almost like a cool little cute thing for you and your kids to see. It's basically can you pass an exam for a first grader or a second grader or a third grader, and it keeps moving on as you go on. You have math, you have science. It's like cool little quizzes that you can play with your kids. Initially, when I saw this, I was like, well, this is cool. It's not for me. But then I started playing with my kid, and believe it or not, we wasted a lot of good time playing this game, and it's pretty fun, and me, if anybody that knows me.
For the record, I just got the two of the first 4 questions wrong.
There you go.
That's neither here nor there.
Oh yeah, it's no joke. It is a quiz. Can you pass first grade or second grade or third grade? And there are these questions. And
this should be like a requirement before you tweet. Like you should have to play this game.
This should be the new capture. Answer a few questions real quick. Let's see if you have your wits about you before we let you tweet. But no, it's a pretty fun game. I enjoyed playing it. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have this game. I want. Would you mind playing it and telling me what you think?" And me. Anybody that knows that I've been in this community know that I like digging through the crates. I'm not necessarily a radio hits kind of guy. I like finding hidden gems. I love games that are being made by single developers, indie stuff. It really excites me that one person or one small team can make such an interesting thing that keeps people entertained. And this is definitely within that. Specifically, if you have kids, you have young ones, this is really fun. Myself and my daughter were like playing this for a good 32 an hour yesterday. I'm like, let's see how you do. And yeah, she got a lot more right than I did, but that's neither here nor there. So yes. And I see Mr. Boomstick is on here. Shout out to you, good sir. Welcome. He says, plus the game is only $5. It will be on Steam. It's also in the Creators Collection under Xbox. So he's releasing it there as well. I'm hoping that it gets enough funding and people like it enough that maybe it joins Game Pass, or he can get more attention from it. I appreciate the fact that, hey, one of us is literally in this community, putting stuff together, making these games. So, shout out to him, and I hope that it goes well. And if you have a chance to check it out, it's called Back with the Number 2 School, and it's on Steam, and it's in the Creators Collection under Xbox. So you could just do search under the store and search for Back to School, and I'm sure you'll be able to see it. But yes, so I thought I'd give it a little bit of attention because, hey, one of us is out there making games, and we think that is pretty damn awesome. And hopefully more of us, do these things like this, Mr. Everborn Saga and the Ariel's Adventure eventually coming to the Creators Collection, hopefully sometime soon.
Fun fact: we've actually shifted productions to the Redlands. And we're in the pre-planning stages of that, but we're getting ready to put fingers on keyboard actually very soon. So
there you go.
Planning should be done this month. It's going to be a beat 'em up. It's going to be sort of Streets of Rage 4, Turtles in Time style.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing, sir. Perfect timing. Good.
Right, and it's if you've read the Redlands comic, you'll know that crew that calls themselves the Wraiths are going to be the people you get to play as. So there'll be sort of different classes, things like that. We'll get more into that another time. That's a story for another time. But there is a beat 'em up game coming, and it will be for Everborn the Redlands, and then Ariel's Adventure will come later.
All right, very, very cool. I see Mr. Boomstick is also telling me that Zemi is trying to get this into the ID at Xbox program. So if you see it and you like it and you're thinking it's really cool that one of us is in here making games, how about you tweet this out? Possibly communicate with the ID at Xbox program and say, hey, this is a game that deserves to be in there. Because let's be real here, Game Pass doesn't have enough family fare. And this is definitely one of those that fits within there. I hope that eventually it gets there. So shout out to you, Zemi Games, and I hope you guys you and your team keep pushing forward and making very interesting content for the community. And we will always shout you out, and we will always broadcast it and let people see what you're doing when you do that. So in addition to this, I've also been, and I'll switch it back to it. I've also been playing a little bit of, a little Cyberpunk, since the game got back into its stride and people are doing what they're doing, I decided to jump in there and remind myself why I love this game. I really still love this game. I know it is wonderful to talk smack on this game because it's gotten what it got, and it deserved what it got. I get it, but I still love this game. I just love running around the world doing stupid stuff. Even the story is still amazing. I hope that with it getting that next gen patch and getting cleaned up as much as it has now, that more people will get a chance to jump in there.
This game's a cautionary tale, though. That's
I know.
That's what I look at this game as.
Yes,
and as a cautionary tale, EA did not listen to that tale. Look at Battlefield 2042.
Yeah.
How are we still doing this? It just spins me out every time.
It is hilarious. Absolutely. Go ahead, Everborn. You were saying?
No. Like Cyberpunk, I mean, you already know I got 100 and God knows how many hours in that game. I played it on PC. This is one of the only times that I actually double dipped. So I bought it on Xbox, saw the performance, and immediately went and that was actually the time I bought my 3080 PC. So I'm not saying correlation is causation, but
somehow Cyberpunk got you to buy a PC.
Somehow I ended up buying a PC at the same time Cyberpunk came out. So that being said, I didn't have, I'm not like, there were definitely like ridiculous bugs, but I didn't really have anything. Like I had to do like one restart, but I didn't have anything that was like game breaking. And I understand that the console experience, was pardon my French, dog poop.
Yes.
So that being said, I still thought it was an amazing experience, and the world that they crafted is really second to none in this setting that they that they did. And I challenge anyone to point me to a world that is this dense while still having such a strong narrative. Right.
No, I agree. I agree.
And so I think like trouble aside, like, yes, they should have delayed it at least
this year. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yep.
And I think I don't think they should have put it on last gen. I think it should have been PC and next gen only.
Only, yes. Even though the monetarily they could not have afforded that, being that
you know what they could have afforded? To release it on PC first, like Starfield, and then bring it to console after it's ready. Sorry, not Starfield. Flight Sim.
Like Flight Sim.
Right? If they had done that, I think they'd still have the goodwill, and people would just be, waiting for when the console versions were ready.
No,
but they got greedy. But anyway, I say all that to say I do feel like it's getting a lot of its roses now.
It should, right? As it well deserves.
A lot of people are picking it up now and seeing wow, there's really something good here. And those headlines are what really had everybody pile on. And I'm not saying poor CD Projekt Red, because they did this to themselves. True. But I do think people should experience this game. It really is something special, and it's a shame that they shot themselves in the foot, stabbed themselves in the back 3 times, and then jumped off a bridge. That's a shame.
I played this game for about 3 hours when it came on launch, and I happened to have my Series X when it launched, so I was pretty excited. And I returned it after 3 hours. That was enough for me to go, nah. But then looking at what they did with Xbox One, I think you're absolutely right. They should have released on PC. And they should have run with that, and then picked up the goodwill and said, look, when it's ready, we'll bring it. But this was a company that just could do no wrong. They made the
they were the golden goose. Nobody I double dipped even before the game was released. I'm like, oh, CDPR, I'll buy the GOG version because GOG owns CDPR owns GOG. I'll buy that version and I'll play it on console because they are known like. What did they do with The Witcher 3? They released The Witcher 3. Yes, it was broken at first, as people forget. It was broken at first, but they cleaned it up, and then they released Hearts of Stone, which was an even bigger DLC than the story than even the actual base game was. Right. So
see, that's what I'm hoping for this, because I didn't jump back in after the next gen update, and I played it on PC, but like. I would love to, like, I feel I did turn it on the Series X after the next gen updates, and it looks like good enough to, obviously it's not going to be as good as the PC, but it's still like right there where I feel comfortable playing it here on the Xbox as opposed to the 3080. but I'm not going back to do that story again. Like I need one of those big like story drops.
Yeah,
right.
I'm hoping.
And the game kind of
they do
ends
the
on a
same
cliffhanger.
thing. Yeah, I'm hoping they do the same thing as they've done with The Witcher, which is give you more story DLC. You know, if you don't want to go down the path of multiplayer, which, you know, people love that, people don't like that.
I don't
follow the same path of The Witcher. Release a new DLC, you know, with it cleaned up the way it is. Give us new stories. It doesn't even have to be V and any of the existing characters.
Nah, I need to see what happened to V at the end of my, because I mean, there's different endings, but I jumped out of spaceship in my ending.
Okay, you don't need no spoilers, man. There are people still playing this game. There's no spoilers. Stop that.
They'll get a different ending.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet, so I'm waiting to go back to it. Then
there you go.
Elden Ring dropped, and I was like, everything in the backlog got pushed further back.
Got pushed back even further back. Yeah. So okay, with that in mind, with Elden Ring in mind, shout out to Gerald Mack out here. I see him in the community. Thank you so much for joining us. He says he's playing Contractors on MetaQuest 2. Oh God, I hate that name. And he's having a ball. Congratulations, sir. I knew that'd be a game you liked. He's very much into that tactical shooter. Even on Xbox, he plays very, very tactical, very team heavy shooters. So for those who don't know, Contractors is a very, very interesting game on in VR on MetaQuest, and also Pavlov is another one of those where people like create like very, very intricate like bump stock devices that they can plug their controllers into, so it gives you that feeling of really shooting a weapon, and very interesting world that they're in there. So shout out to you for not getting sucked in by the Elden Ring bubble. I appreciate you, sir. How about actually, you know what, while we're having our conversation, please, folks who happen to be joining, who are in the chat right now, tell us some games you've been playing that is not Elden Ring, because everyone in my timeline is either playing Elden Ring, talking Elden Ring everywhere I look. And you know what? Let's head more into that Elden Ring talk. And let me start this conversation. This will be the Elden Ring block, if you don't like it. Right after this, we'll switch to the news that we're talking. But this is the block of Elden Ring. And the epiphany that I have had is that beyond the obtuse nature of the UI, and people have been complaining. And by the way, yes, news has come out that I think it sold like 20 million copies or something like that. It's gangbusters. It's
Cyberpunk or Elden Ring?
Elden Ring. It's selling gangbusters. It is just losing, like everywhere it's selling, and it's selling ridiculously. Steam, funny enough, the digital, and this is a little bit of salt from me, I apologize. The digital sales outweighed the physical sales, which isn't surprising, but the physical sales were more on PlayStation, and the digital sales were more on PC and Xbox. So if you could see my face right now, you'd see me doing the sus eyeball, which I'm definitely doing right now. So for all y'all with your narratives,
there's some talk about
but right now, like your eyeballs are totally in the sus mode. So
I know they're always in sus mode, so it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
But I just thought that was such an interesting bit of news to drop, that it actually sold more on PlayStation, on Xbox, than it did on PlayStation, because of its digital nature of it, which is so interesting to me. It was always, I always knew.
Is that actually the case though? Because I know, once we get into percentages, it gets weird, right?
Well, it gets weird in percentages because it's PC and console, PC and Xbox. But as a whole, there were more digital sales than there were physical sales. And of the digital sales, I think it was 80-30 Xbox to PlayStation, which is very, very interesting. Like, wow, that is an interesting stat. It really is. And this has nothing to do with Game Pass. This was just straight up Xbox, that sold. And truth be told, I would think it probably makes sense, because how many, like most Elden Ring gamers, Elden Ring Soulsborne gamers are more PlayStation gamers, are they not? That's where you have your Bloodborne, which is not available.
Yeah, I know, but this, even though it's literally a JRPG because it's made by a Japanese company, it still feels like a Western RPG.
It does, 100%. You're 100% right.
And sorry, go ahead.
We had this conversation in Party Chat the other day, and I brought up the point that one of the guys was saying, I don't like JRPGs. And I'm like, well, what we're playing right now is technically a JRPG. But he's like, but it was made for a Western audience. Is that true? I don't know, man.
I don't know that either.
Well, you have a Western fantasy writer, right? You're the. I mean, there is a samurai class, but other than that, this is all
really. Everborn.
medieval European
let's
stuff.
be real here, though, Everborn. Let's be honest
Western
here.
RPG.
Let's be fair here, Everborn. Right? Like what George R. Martin did was basically write like some highlights on a Post-it note and hand it to them, and just
that's the same thing he gave Benioff and Weiss to finish the Game of Thrones series.
He gave them. He gave Benioff and Weiss more than he gave these guys. I'm sorry.
I doubt it. Somehow I doubt it.
A couple names, Roderick of the, and then kept it moving.
Yeah, I can't figure out the story, man. That's one thing with Elden Ring. I'm like, you get a little bit here, you get a little bit here. What I figured out is the world got broken, and then we got some guys called Tarnished, and that's it. That's all.
I didn't even get that much.
110
hours, and I'm 20-something hours into it.
You won't get any more like 100 hours in. That's all I know. That's
Jesus Christ,
so to my epiphany, the thing that I realized that gets people is that when you start, you're at such a low level, and obviously all Elden Ring players will look at me, will hear this and just go, file this under the duh cabinet. You start this game and anyone can destroy you, like anyone. Every single, like a bug is you live in fear of, because the wrong bug can strike you and you're out, right? But then you start, as you grind and you keep growing and you keep growing in it and growing in it, you start getting to a place where all those bugs and even the biggest dudes you were running away from become fodder, right? And I've gotten to this place while talking to Mr. Boomstick, because he and I chat pretty often, and he's been on his Elden Ring journey. And in the beginning, he was like, "This game is ridiculous. This game is trash. What the heck is going on here? This is so obtuse." I'm still half in, half out. But he's way on the other side of the looking glass now. He's like, "This is game of the year. This is amazing," because he is now going through, right, finding the biggest, like the hugest enemies you can find, enemies that are so large that their foot literally encompasses the entire screen, not counting where you're standing, right? And he's just using magic and using his gotten so OP that he can literally just walk in there and just rip people to shreds, the biggest monsters you can find, right? So it ends up being a power fantasy. It ends up being like a situation where if you keep plugging away at it, eventually you conquer all and you become like the master of all you survey. But it takes a long time to get there. And that long time in the middle, that's what strips the wheat from the chaff, as it were. That's where some people go, screw this game sucks.
And that makes me think, what would people's experience be with the game if your starting point, your level 1, was effectively what you get at level 30? Because I feel like that's really where you can start, at least moving around the world and kill the smallest of things.
Sure,
right?
Sure. That is an interesting thought. That is an interesting thought.
I feel like they start you off too weak, and it puts a lot of people off. But if you just go and kill the smallest things, find the boulder farm, do that, get to level 30, that's really where you should be at the first moment you start the game.
And you know what? To your hypothetical, I wonder where we would be if all of a sudden we have FromSoft, right, provide their moment-to-moment gameplay, right, but in a game like Horizon Forbidden West, where the control scheme is fully well thought out, and the UI elements are there. I get that everybody's quick to defend Elden Ring and go, this is all part and parcel of the experience, and I agree with that, right? But if we lived in a world where the modern aesthetics were still adhered to by Elden Ring, but the moment-to-moment still is the Elden Ring moment-to-moment, do we think we'd have a better game?
No, well, what Elden Ring does well is rewards you for your work, which a lot of games don't do well. You're already rewarded. I mean, I haven't played Horizon Forbidden West, but I have played Horizon Zero Dawn, and you're rewarded immediately for doing stuff. You don't get rewarded immediately in Elden Ring. You have to work for it.
I agree. I agree with you on that. I guess my question though is, we're not talking about the drip feed of the Decima engine or the, hey, here you go, we'll hold your hand. Take all that away, right? Imagine Elden Ring of today. Only the UI and the game language is more like Forbidden West. Meaning,
I don't think you have to say Forbidden West. You could say
any game.
You honestly, let's just have real talk for a second.
Yeah.
You could say Assassin's Creed, because a lot of people like to give Assassin's Creed shit, but a lot of people stole from Assassin's Creed.
Very much so.
Right?
Yes.
And Assassin's Creed actually gives you the option to turn off markers and things from the map. So you do have that freedom.
You have the capability
I prefer that than just you saying nothing, because I had to go look at a YouTube video to figure out where Margit is. And I had been in the game for 15 hours.
Yeah, there's a lot of research. There's a lot of outside research that you are forced to do if you want to excel in Elden Ring. You cannot. Well, I was going to say you cannot.
What we're talking about here, we're talking about a quest log. So that's what you're talking about, right?
No. I'm not talking quest log. I'm talking. That's just
not map markers. You don't want map markers.
No, you don't want markers.
Stuff.
You want a quest log. You want the same button that brings up the map to take away the map. That's another one. You want, I hit the map button, it turns on. I hit the map button again, it goes away.
Right. So what we're
whenever
talking
I pick
about
up,
is
hold on, one more second. I pick up an item, right? It says this is the item. It should go away by itself. It shouldn't stay on the screen for 50 years until I hit the damn button. What if I have an enemy chasing me? Like, what is wrong with you people?
And so what we're talking about is an intuitive UI. Same game, intuitive UI, quest log, and maybe like 2018 graphics. Like I won't even go to 2022.
This man out here.
No, that's good. I'll agree. Pate's not here to attack me, like for once. So, like, I could definitely say these graphics need updating. Like, imagine an Elden Ring that looked really good. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look good either.
The art style, I think, is good, but the graphics themselves, like that is like, so if it had these things. Right,
Lucius Augustus is taking you to task there, Everborn.
You're damn right. I was grinding. You can't start this game. What's wrong with you, Lucius? You damn right. I was looking for fights I could win and going back to the boulder. That's what I was doing for 15 hours. But that's neither here nor there, because I got stomped out. Because to get to Margit, you go. I went up that corridor where the guys with the arrows are coming at you, and you encounter the giant for the first time.
Yeah,
I had spent hours in the field before that with the battle encampment, where you go down you go into the get the map when you get the first map. Right. I spent hours creeping around doing that because just the smallest of guys were killing me, and I'm like, this is a goddamn stealth game. So I had to go grind before I could fight that giant. And then I grind to level 30. I fight the giant. I beat him and I go up the hill, but I don't go to the left because some wolves start chasing me. I go to the right. And that's how I ended up lost in the world for, another 10 hours or whatever it was.
Okay. So you know what? Let me take.
To answer your question, I want to answer your original question.
Go ahead. Yeah.
If it actually had an intuitive user interface, or user experience, I should say, and it had a quest log.
Let build the moment to moment. Let them build the difficulty. Let them build the whole situation. But the UI, the quest log, maybe even the lore, all of that. Imagine all that is like Destiny.
Listen, the game is what it is, right? I don't need the lore. I don't need everything to be a cutscene, right?
No, we're not even asking for that. Yeah, because some games make it work without cutscenes.
Maybe just a story beat so we know what's going on. I've got no idea what the hell is going on.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, had it had the intuitive user experience, had it had the quest log, had it had some halfway decent graphics, I think then it would have deserved the 97.
Yes,
because and this is not about Metacritic.
No,
because there's a 5-point standard deviation. But when something scores a 97, you are saying this game is for everyone. You are saying that it is classic above all else, and this is something that needs to be played. Required reading, as you call it.
Yep.
So this is why, like, as much as I love the game, as much as I'm stuck in the game, that 97 was bullcrap.
And that is why I bring this up. I want a world where, like, I don't know, pick your developer. Say, well, we're building this crazy, interesting, Lord of the Rings game. And guess what? We brought FromSoft in to do the moment-to-moment combat. But they don't do any of the UI. They don't do any of the story beats. They don't do any of. They just bring you the moment-to-moment, the monsters, the this, the that. That'd be a very interesting game. A combination of those two elements. Go ahead, risk it.
But the level design, they would have to do that too, because software is very clever. Their level design works against you. Like that level design is part of. It's like a monster in the game. You're always running. Right. You like dodging around the areas. It doesn't funnel you to find the next map marker. It doesn't funnel you to find the next.
It doesn't.
boss.
Yeah.
Like Everborn got lost running around the world because there was nothing there to funnel him to where he needed to go next.
Yeah.
And I love that about the game. I think that is what makes the game and the denseness of the world. They put a fantastic game together, but they do have. I completely agree. They've got a few issues, and one of them is a quest log. Man, I'm 41 years old. I don't want to have to writing down homework.
That's right.
To go back and read like, okay, this guy said this weird cryptic shit, and this guy said some other cryptic stuff, and this guy mentioned that guy. Like, you can
how about also actually letting me be able to pause? How about that?
Exactly.
There's no reason you should be able to pause in this goddamn game.
So think of it like this way. Like think of it like in the movies world, right? John Wick was an awesome movie, right? People loved it. They loved the moment-to-moment combat. So what did they do? They started asking Chad Stahelski, the creator of said combat, to join and help other movies, right? Didn't turn it into John Wick, right? You can have your story. Just have Chad show up and give you some of that bite, some of that moment-to-moment combat that's just amazing that comes specifically from John Wick. Same thing I'm asking here. Ask FromSoft to come in and give you some of their bite, but don't make it a FromSoft game. Just have them add their element into an existing, already finely polished thing.
One thing,
but let's move on because we're going to Elden Ring. Go ahead. You'll have the last word. This is not Elden Ring.
This is for
you'll have the last word. Go ahead.
Programmatic Eagle and Lucius Augustus. What I am saying is that a game at 97 has no flaws.
Yes.
This game has flaws.
Yes.
Right?
That's 97. It should reach a certain threshold, and this one does not. And
you can ignore my point about being for everyone. That's not really what I mean. I'm not saying it needs to be dumbed down. I'm not saying that at all. But a 97 game, ultimately, you're saying it has no flaws, and I think this game has many flaws, and that doesn't mean it is not great and amazing and addictive as heroin and beautiful women. So
understood. All right.
What's the score? What's the score that you would put an amazing game at that has flaws? Because for me, 97's got wiggle room to get to perfection, right? To get to masterpiece. I think that Elden Ring is a masterpiece. It's definitely a masterpiece, but that doesn't mean perfection. I mean, I don't think the Mona Lisa was perfect. None of that stuff was perfect.
I've seen the Mona Lisa in person. It's not all that. But again,
this man out here, he's about to get insulted by Art Twitter. I'm sorry.
Any game, any sort of Metacritic score, I think you have to give a 5-point standard deviation in any direction. So you'll say, well, if it got a 95, some people might consider it 100, and some people might consider it a 90. Right?
Yeah.
So that's usually my rule of thumb, and it has worked out every time. Even when I thought something was scored too low, I would never give it 5 points higher than where it actually was. In my experience.
All right, gentlemen, let us. We will continue to speak Elden Ring because I know we will. And I've actually kept my tongue. I've been holding my tongue because I have so much to say about Elden Ring on the X screen, but I will leave that for another time. Yes, I have an X screen. If you don't have one, go hunt one down immediately, especially if you have a Series S. It is essential. Oh my God, especially for my use case right now, where I literally have no game console. Everything is in boxes. This thing is literally on the side next to me, and it's like at any moment I can be playing, right? I can and by the way, in offline mode, Elden Ring does let quick resume work really well. If it's online, obviously it doesn't work, but if you're playing in offline mode and you put it in quick resume at any moment, at any time. And now, of course, Microsoft allows you to pin quick resume, so you can keep it pinned in there all the time. Between Elden Ring and my second playthrough of Guardians of the Galaxy, it's back and forth as much as possible. So I appreciate the new world we find ourselves in. But you know what? Let us move on, because we have other things we want to talk about. While still
I
always
thought we were talking about Elden Ring all day.
I'm sure that's what you thought. I thought this was going to be the all Elden Ring all the time podcast. Yes, but you know what? Excuse me. Let us transition to some of the news stories of the week. Some things that are interesting. And by the way, folks in the chat, appreciate y'all being here. We see you. Please hit that like button. Please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. We're on the mission trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're close to 500, so please help us get there. You know, the year has just started. We're already on the path, and we appreciate you guys continuing to support us. But let's get started with some of the news stories that we've been seeing today. I wasn't going to bring this up, but this is kind of a combination of both. I think I'll hit these both at the same time. First off, we have Xbox Keystone, which is a code name that was discovered in the Windows 11, some of the Windows 11 code in the background that people are now making speculations about. In addition to Sony also shipping a mysterious prototype of some kind of console, which also has brought about some speculation. I will say, I think Keystone, risk it's all, he's lathering himself up ready for it. I think Keystone is more software related.
Pause.
Yeah, pause. Yeah, big pause. I think Keystone is software related. I think Keystone
I have
possibly
thoughts
has
on what the Keystone is.
I think Keystone possibly has something to do, because I've been a part of the Xbox Insider program for quite some time, even before the series consoles came out. I always have at least one console in it getting the new updates. Although they're cleaning up the UI and they're adding a lot of UI elements, right? They're cleaning this up, cleaning that up. It looks to me like it's almost time for us to see a big design change. And while still keeping the cool things that they have iterated on and kept tight and kept working, like, for instance, a quick resume being pinnable and things like that, that all exists. But it feels to me that at some point in time, there will be a UI change away from that OG Windows 8/Windows 10 UI that they kind of co-opted for Xbox. And I have a feeling that may be what this is related to. I have no actual prior knowledge, or I'm not saying that because I have any insider information. It's just based on how they have been iterating and how they've all of a sudden suddenly stopped, and now they seem to be working on the edges. I have a feeling something's coming, and they've been asking us questions in the insider program. Like every week, they'll send a survey, and some of those questions are really like eye raising. Like, what are you talking about here, Microsoft? Something's about to happen with the UI, and then we see this whole Keystone thing, and specifically the reason why I related to software is because of the fact that this was not found under the auspices of hardware. This was found within Windows 11, right? How they talk to each other. So that's where my head is at with it. Mr. Riskett, what do you think this is? Where does your brain go when you hear this stuff?
Look, we had a conversation about this today. Look, it's definitely, I think, the way that they're going, and I kind of agree, semi-agreeing with what you're saying, but then taking it a step further, I think this is going to be a new Fire Stick. This is going to be something where it could be found in Windows 11, because that's going to need to talk to your Fire Stick. Your Xbox software is not going to run from an Xbox Series. It'll maybe run from the server blades through, but it's going to run from a Windows program to your Fire Stick. So I think that if it's anything major, it's going to be that. The other thing that has been brought up is it could possibly be a handheld, but I don't see Xbox doing
the reason why I keep saying what I was saying is because look at the screen here, right? This is where they found it, right? Durango was the OS for Xbox One. Scarlet was the OS for Xbox Series X and S, right? And then Keystone is right after that. That's why it tells me this is software.
Well, hold on a minute. I don't know that it was the we're saying, okay, host OS.
Yeah.
I mean, I
because
guess,
look,
when
because
I think
remember,
Durango, I think Xbox One X, and when I think Scarlet, I think Series X, and Lockhart
was no. Remember, see, this
X.
is the mistake that people make. Scarlet was the OS that ran on Lockhart and the Series X. Scarlet was the OS. That's why they kept saying
so
the
what was
Scarlet
the
device
code name
family.
for the Series X?
I forget the code name for the Series
I
X.
know, because I don't think there was. Scarlet was the code name for it.
No, but I am telling you, that is why they call it the Scarlet, the Scarlet family of devices. You've even heard Phil Spencer say the Scarlet family of devices. That Scarlet family.
I've never heard Phil Spencer say that.
Oh, look it up. I'm telling you, 100%. Scarlet family of devices.
All right,
what's underneath
I need receipts. What's
underneath it? It says Azure Server Cloud Host, Azure Server Cloud.
Yep.
Cloud.
It's all software. Azure. This is all OS we're talking about here.
All right. Let me tell you what I think.
Please.
I think Keystone is not a handheld, and I don't think it's just a UI update.
Okay.
And I don't think it is a Fire Stick. However, somewhere in the middle, I think it's a puck. Something that competes with the Apple TV and the like. And I think it will run all the apps, not games. It'll locally run all the apps that are on your Xbox today, right? And then it will have an xCloud app, and you'll be able to connect the controller to it. So it is basically an Xbox that doesn't run any local games, but it can run your Netflix and your Funimation and your HBO Max and all those things. Mm-hmm. And it is a complete streaming box. And this is the reason when they got rid of Mixer and they got rid of Zune or whatever they were calling the music thing when they finally canceled it, they always kept movie and TV. And I think this is always a part of the plan to have that kind of TV box to just kind of plug in, and that will be your new TV interface.
I will say that your thoughts on it, like, I don't know about Keystone being that, but that device is definitely on its way. Like that puck device, because and you and I agree on that, because they cannot depend on the Bluetooth signals coming from your TV. They can't depend on the Wi-Fi signals coming from your TV, because depending on what brand you buy,
a lot of TVs cheap out on just the networking. So even the network protocol that they use, even if you plug it in,
100%.
Like I have gigabit on one of my older TVs, and I plugged it in. I can't get more than 100 up and down, because they use the cheap NIC card.
Yeah, because the TV manufacturers focus where their priorities are, which is the image quality, and not so much the Bluetooth radios and not so much the Wi-Fi radio. So they can't depend on your TV manufacturer putting the best in there to make sure your latency is low. So a puck of some kind, an Apple TV small device of some kind that holds the Wi-Fi signal, maybe an Ethernet.
This bet, by the way, because I think that I'm right.
Oh no. See, this is not a bet I'm willing to take. I don't think Keystone specifically is that, but there is something of that nature.
No. I'm saying that's what Keystone is.
Well, that is like,
I know that you agree that it's coming, but I'm telling you what I think Keystone is.
That is for you to come to mea culpa with on the internet when you are inevitably wrong. But that's because you're just putting it out there into the universe and everybody listening to it.
Cool.
I hear you on that. But to flip the script, we
happy for anybody to click that.
Yeah, indeed. And here's Sony getting caught shipping a mysterious PlayStation prototype console overseas. Now, it's a very, very high level story, and there's not much to it beyond that. But in this, I think more PSVR 2, because we know that that's out there, right? We know that there's a prototype. There has to be a prototype out there somewhere for new potential developers building VR games. They need something like like a prototype or like one of their devices in order to see if it works. Use it to tune it as they do. That's where my brain goes here. I know people are going, mid-gen refresh. I don't know about all that. What do you think about it, Riskit?
Look, the GDKs for that should already be out there for your PSVR. So
true. If
they're showing the PSVR without sending out GDKs, they're already building games for it. Those GDKs are out there. So this is 110. We know that they build consoles years in advance, and they iterate years in advance. We know that Xbox is iterating right now another console. Phil Spencer said as much. That doesn't mean this console's coming next year, the year after, 3 years down the line. It could be 4 or 5 years. But this, to me, this is 110%. If you're sending out GDKs to operate, this is 110% I think it's a PS5 Pro personally. And if it's not that, then I think one will definitely come. Because just for the fact that me and Pete had one of my co-hosts, we had a massive argument about this. And he's right. The mid-gen refresh last gen was completely due to 4K. They had to refresh to get 4K operating on their systems, and they both needed to do that because they didn't have the capability, and they did with the X and the Pro. They don't have that problem this time. Xbox has future-proofed its console with RDNA 2 and all the features that they put inside. So even if the raw power does jump ahead of them, they can catch up to it and find ways to add savings to
they have smart power that they haven't used yet.
Yeah, give them headroom, right? But PlayStation doesn't have that. It doesn't have any of that. And if PlayStation's smart, they're going to start looking at ways to get ahead of that. And the way to get ahead of that is to do a Pro and then put those features in there. The only reason they don't have those features in there is because they push that console out too quick. It's as simple as that. And they would know that. And they would know that they're going to get overtaken later in the year. So, or later in, I'd say next year, we're going to see some significant differences. Just that VRS conference they had, Microsoft, they were getting 30% extra headroom out of their GPU from one feature, from just one feature. I mean, they haven't even tapped machine learning. They haven't tapped mesh shaders. They haven't tapped any of that stuff. So PlayStation would know this. They're not stupid.
Velocity architecture compression, like the compression speed, like they have been able to show tests of it running faster than the fastest test from the PS5 raw. Like they've been able to beat the PS5 in tests. Nothing has actually been translated to games, while PlayStation 5 is still putting them in games, and they're much faster in games. But this tells you, if a developer actually chooses to use it, or they actually spend the time necessary to really put full use to velocity architecture, you could at least get the same throughput as you get on PS5. No one's actually even touched any of that yet. So I do agree with you on that 100%. I see Pixelbit G's in the chat disagreeing with you, saying they can't even make the current models. How are they going to make a mid-gen refresh?
Yeah, look, that's the thing that Pete brought up as well. He's like, they can't get the chips to make these models. And as I said, they're not putting it out next year. It's not coming out in 2 years. Like, you've got to be thinking ahead. If you're a tech company that stops innovating, you die. And it's as simple as that. So if you think that they're going to stop at the PS5 and not chase after Xbox, like that, you can see them chasing after Xbox. They're doing it with Spartacus. They're doing it with software. They're going to do it. They're going to do it with hardware too. Like they're not a stupid company. They haven't been on top for so many years because they are stupid. So I think if you think a Pro isn't coming, I think you're going to get proven wrong. And I love it. If salt, give me salt.
Everborn, what do you think?
So, couple of things. I think it may not even be as sophisticated as a Pro. I think that in the current sort of chip shortage, and now there's certain raw materials that you can't get because of conflicts around the world. I think they have to start thinking of different ways to produce this console. Right? It actually could be the same thing, just manufactured in a different way, right? Who's to say this is even anything above, in terms of specs, what the current PS5 is? And you are right? Like, of course, they start speccing out or thinking about what the next generation is the day they launch the current generation, right?
Yep,
so sure, and just because you're shipping things out, that doesn't mean they're anewhere near.
Good morning, Mag. Welcome to the show,
Mag.
good
what's
sir.
happening? So again, I think that maybe both Xbox and PlayStation, and maybe this is less so for Xbox, especially for the Series S, but I think they're both going to have to think of alternative methods for manufacturing these things, because they're going to need something to sort of mitigate these sort of industry shifts in terms of materials needed to produce their products. And Jez Corden was saying yesterday, which I thought was super insightful, and I'm like, you stole the words out of my head, Jez. He was saying something to take note of is that Microsoft has insulated themselves to, shifts in the market a lot more than Sony has, at least
true
as of today, right? So meaning we see the Series S, we see people making fun of it, but they've insulated themselves from the chip shortage by also having an option that is easier to manufacture.
So what you're saying
even
is,
if they
what you're saying is,
I'm not saying
what you're saying is,
I'm not even acknowledging you.
So Jez Corden basically counteracted your argument from way back, talking about how ridiculous the Series S was.
He didn't say that. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm inferring from what he said.
Okay.
Now, anyway,
sir.
What he did say is that the way you insulate yourself from being able to make hardware is by having an option in the cloud, which is what I've always said, sir, that the cloud is the real answer, but that's neither here nor there. So between xCloud, between the Series S, and between the hardware software optimizations, and between embracing the PC, because who's the PC market isn't worried about chip shortages, right? I'm sure they are for new video cards, but games are developed on for PC across a bunch of hardware that has existed for how many years. So the embracing of the PC and being able to sell games there, the Series S, which is easier to manufacture, and the cloud, which they're setting themselves up for, and just easing the barrier of entry through things like xCloud, they've effectively set themselves up for whichever direction the market goes. I add to that buying all these studios.
Real quick, Splendiferous is asking, did I say the PS5 has velocity architecture? No, sir, I did not. What I said was that the velocity architecture of the Xbox Series X and S has the FPS, what's the compression ratios are so
SFS.
fast. The SFS. The SFS compression ratios are so fast that they compete with PlayStation 5's really fast SSDs, right? And that's another thing. Most people think that the Xbox does not have PCIe 4.0 because they're slower. That's not the case. It is because PlayStation 5 is using all 4 tracks for speed, whereas Xbox used 2 tracks for speed and 2 tracks for compatibility. And that's why they offset it with software. And in tests, the software is proving to be just as fast as the hardware that PlayStation is producing. It hasn't happened in games yet, but in tests, it is beating the PlayStation to the punch, and it will. Yeah. Right now, it doesn't really matter anyway, because you can point to a game in PlayStation that does it, but you can't point to one in Xbox that does it. But like for like in the testing realm, PlayStation's one is fast all through speed because of the hardware they're using, and Xbox has been used half of the speed and then offset that speed with software, and that's pushing it to the other to the speed that it needs to go. Everborn, I agree with you. I just think it's a little hilarious that you were also the person that was saying that Microsoft was paying too much attention to the statistics and reading too much of the tea leaves, and you thought initially, and folks don't have to take my word for it. You could just go back to our previous episodes.
Listen,
baby.
I stand by
you
that.
You could go back to our previous episodes, baby.
I stand
this man was over here talking about how the Series S was unnecessary.
Sir.
And now all of a sudden he's the same guy going, they're really smart, like insulating themselves. For every one Series X or PS5 you can build 2 S's, because they knew hardware was hard to come by. So maybe we'll give them something that'll get them in the door without all that uplift of hardware. And if anybody goes, well, it's not that good, I say to you, sir, how about the Switch, which has been running off of 2015, 2014 hardware for years now and still outsells everyone. So there you go.
Yeah, but again, I stand by everything I said. I think a $399 Series X discless would have been the way to go.
But see, but a $399 discless Series X wouldn't be in the market, because for every S, every 2 S's,
let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
Microsoft got lucky.
Oh, right? Get out of here.
No. Hold on a minute.
The $2 trillion company that's been reading the tea leaves.
Are you telling me they planned the COVID pandemic and now this war?
No,
this was not supposed to take place so soon.
I am saying they saw what's happening in the market. They saw what was happening in the market. And because they saw what potentially was about to befall the market, they exit stage left, just like many people have done reading the tea leaves. They saw what was about to happen and they built their hardware to withstand it. And you know it's true because they're winning right now.
So they knew. No, again, this is what I mean, right? Like
they were lucky.
Victory has 1,000 fathers, but success is a bastard. Sorry, but failure is a bastard, right?
Yes.
So the thing is, it's very easy now in hindsight to say they knew that the war was coming and they knew the pandemic was coming. Those are things that are exacerbating the
How about you take Pixel Big G's take his thoughts here.
They got lucky.
I'll just leave that on the screen.
Yes. I don't think they didn't get lucky, man.
They did not get lucky.
They just got accelerated.
Exactly.
So what was going to happened anyway. It just happened at a lot quicker pace.
Well, so Risky, let me tell you what my argument was initially, right? Before we were really into this chip shortage thing.
Take this L there, Everborn. Take the L.
I said that xCloud is the thing that will be for the casuals, and I think it will render the Series S redundant. And I think they would have been better off going with a diskless Series X for $399 and having xCloud be for the general masses, because it will provide
but imagine
good
there
enough
being no Series S.
When did you say that? When?
This was way before.
This is like more than a year ago.
Yeah, look, I would have agreed with you back then 110%.
But he was wrong then, and he's wrong now.
No, but you couldn't know that this was going to happen. That's
no. But see, but this is what I'm saying. You cannot sit there, right? Mr. Everborn Saga, you cannot sit there and go, yeah, the $2 trillion company that has hedged their bets and has this.
Tell me they knew that the pandemic and the war was going to come. You can't say that.
But had they done what you were saying, right? Let's say we live in that world, hypothetical world. They created a Series X diskless and a Series X with disk, right? And the Series S is foregone. Do you know what would have happened? PlayStation would be winning right now because the Series S X diskless and disc
winning what?
Would all
what exactly would they be winning
right now? Every single month, even though what do you call it? Hardware is hard to achieve. The PlayStation would be achieving more hardware than Microsoft would be, which is not the case right now because they have a Series S, which has less of an uplift.
The metric to win by.
I understand
we're long past that.
No, anyway, I understand.
Move on.
Sure. Let's move on. Let's move on from the fact that he was wrong and he wants to move on. He wants to move forward. He was wrong. He wants to move forward. We're moving forward, but he was wrong. Let's continue.
Okay.
Before we do,
please,
I just want to verbatim what was actually said on the side of the box that got sent from the UK to the US.
Yes, please.
Last November, it said it was labeled video game console and in brackets prototype. That's exactly what it said on the side of the box. Yeah. So that's fairly clear.
I mean, to be fair, anybody who doesn't really know what video games are can see something and go, yeah, that's a video game console and it's a prototype. It could have been a PSVR. They can call that a video game console prototype. They could do that. That is visible. That is still, but I do see what you're saying. Like they spend a lot of time ahead of time, prototyping. If you look at some of the articles that have come out for Xbox, there are many iterations before they finalize what they finalize. So it's very much could be that there could be a PS5 Pro of some kind that's being tested out and iterated upon.
Okay, but we know that they changed like the fan in the PS5s, and we had a long debate about that.
Yes, we did. Yes, they did.
And the heat sink size and things like that. What if it is just either a slim down or something that maybe looks the same, but it is just manufacturing efficiencies updated, and that is what is a prototype. This may be something much to do about nothing. Is what I'm saying.
Victor Alstein is asking, what if PlayStation releases a handheld as they are quick to take hold of the popular thing? Victor, if they did that,
just put that out though. That'd have to be in the works for years.
Yes,
so it wouldn't be.
If they did that though, I would be happy as all hell because I am one of the last few who still stands for my Vita. I have my Vita over here. I even have a Vita TV, the little puck thing that eventually turned. Loved the Vita. It was sad that the Vita was not given the respect it deserves, and now the Steam Deck will take all of that. And speaking of said Steam Deck, let us transition, fine folks, to some other news stories, namely that the Steam Deck now runs Windows fully, including the drivers for graphics and all of that. Although it has been said you probably don't want to run it right now. Why? Because it's kind of buggy. The preliminary tests that the same games running on Linux versus Windows, Linux runs away with it. So clearly the drivers need work. But on the flip side, you want to play your Destiny 2, you want to play all of your anti-cheat enabled games, this is the way to do it. You'll have to do it with Bluetooth headphones, because even as of right now, as the time we're recording this, the audio drivers don't work for the speakers, or the headphone jack also doesn't work. The only way you can get audio out of this thing in Windows is if you're using Bluetooth headphones, or if you're using a USB-C connection. That's how you'll be able to do it. It's not perfect. It's far from great, but it is an option now. Does this change the equation for anybody looking to get one of these things? This is a small topic. I know not too many people are so gung-ho about it, but I am so excited. I'm Q2. I'm waiting for my invite. What do you think, Risket, for the biscuit? Good point. Good point. How about you, Mr. Everborn Saga?
Steam Deck to me is just if you're gonna get a Steam Deck, just get a PC. I don't know, man.
Really?
I've never wanted
Explain.
to. Or like, what was that S box that you I brought it up when you started talking about it, because I wanted to know what it was. The X screen. Get an X screen. That's better. Like, I don't know, man. It's this big thing. You got to hold it with like massive man hands, which I have.
Yeah.
And it looks awkward. It just doesn't do it for me. And then you get all the problems that you get with a PC that you don't have with a console.
True.
Like,
it is solely squarely for PC people. That's for sure. Yeah. That
doesn't work on it. Oh, this has got a bug. You got to do this. You got to copy that across to here, and then put that in this file. Then you got to move that over there. Then you can get it running. And
that's for the power user stuff. I mean, by and large, if you buy this thing, and I don't disagree with any of your points, it is very much in the power user PC space right now. But to be fair, if you buy this thing and you want to be that guy that goes, hey, I want to play Dead Cells on like for a little while, you can literally just go in there if you have the game, download, play, and it will play with minimal touching and playing. It's just the extras that it can do that requires this. Like, if you're one of those people who insists on playing Destiny 2, you're going to have to install Windows on it and install the drivers on it. But if you don't want to do that,
Destiny 2 saying it won't run on the Steam Deck. They're going to
try
to stop it.
No. It will if you're running Windows. That's the key here. Like, Destiny 2 and any anti-cheat game will not run on Steam Deck, because Steam Deck runs Linux, and anti-cheat is antithetical to Linux, right? They don't want it is a choice at this point. They could make it work, but because Linux is so open-ended and there's so much you can do and it's not restrictive, they don't want to do that. So if you're playing anything that has good anti-cheat software, it's stopping people from cheating, it will not run on the Linux software, the Linux Arch software that the Steam Deck runs on. A way to circumvent that would be run Windows on it. And that's why this is important. So because they now have Windows drivers, like actual graphic drivers for Windows, you can now install Windows OS as if, like you said, it's a full PC. Install Windows OS, install the drivers for your graphics card, for the Zen 2 graphics and all that, and the RDNA 2 graphics for the Steam Deck, and then you can run Destiny 2 with no issues. Because at that point, then it's a Windows PC like any other Windows PC.
Is it too hard basket though? I mean, that's for a handheld. I don't know. That's just too hard basket for me. I just want to get it.
It's for now. For now, it's for those. It's for now. For today. For next month. For next year. I suspect it's for people like me who like to tinker with things. Right. It's for us. But I guarantee you, in like a year from now, when all those drivers are like seamless and well engineered and mature at that point, all of this will be turnkey, far more turnkey than you expect, right? And again, this stuff, this super user stuff, only becomes tumultuous for those of us who want to do out of the box stuff. Like, I want to run Dreamcast. Yeah, you'll be able to do that here. I want to run PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Xbox OG, Xbox 360. I want to run Switch. I want to run Wii U. All that stuff can be done here. That's when the tinkering begins. If you have a game that you've already purchased from the Steam store, the Steam library, and you hit play, and it doesn't happen to be like, Cyberpunk or something, like something that's, let's say something that's indie or something that's not pushing the boundaries of technology, graphics technology, you hit play, you're playing your game, and by and large, you're having a great experience, turnkey, no issues. So that's at least what's there.
I feel
because
like
it's open-ended, it gives you the opportunity to do other things.
Is an assumption on your part. Look,
no. It's not an assumption because I've been
reviews that I have watched. It's not as turnkey as you're making it out to be, sir.
No, it's not an assumption because the reviews that those who've had their hands on this box on this Steam Deck in order to do reviews tend to be people like me, the super user stuff. You're talking Linus Tech Tips, and you're talking Gamers Nexus. These are tip of the spear, super user gamers, right? But even they have said, even beyond their tinkering, and we tore it apart and we did this, even they have said, if you want to live in the, hey, I'm playing Dead Cells, hey, I'm playing Risk of Rain, hey, I'm playing, name your cool indie game or your standard game that you play, and you hit download and you hit play, you're having a great experience. That's it. It's just if you're trying to play, I don't know, Cyberpunk at 60 frames per second, yeah, you got some tweaking to do.
How am I supposed to know as a user of this $650 basically laptop?
For the highest version, yes, $650
right.
for the highest version.
How am I supposed to know which games will and won't work and which ones have driver issues?
Because they have it in the, as soon as you turn it on, they have a works on deck. Oh, like they have a green, yellow, red system where it shows it all over the system, where these games and the UI of Steam Deck literally points you to the works great on deck, and those are the ones that they show you first.
This is the problem with like PC and tech guys, right? Risk it.
Okay,
they are happy.
Here we go.
Tinkering around with stuff, installing
the
drivers,
the technologist
going
himself.
Back to the BIOS to flash things, installing separate OS and doing virtualization shit like that. They just think that everybody who's picking up this thing to game on the go is trying to do all of that stuff.
No, but this is the point. This
like
is
you got to pick up a command prompt to run this thing.
This is not for anybody who's gaming on the go. This is not for that. If you're just
it's a portable device. How can it not be for somebody that's gaming on the go?
If you're just gaming on the go, you have yourself a Switch, and that's all you need. This is for super users.
No. See, I disagree with that because if I want to go gaming on the go, which I probably wouldn't go with that, I would want good graphics. And Switch just provides.
See, that's the thing. But remember, just like your Netflix, for instance, people give up fidelity for convenience. That's what they do. You give up fidelity for convenience, and Netflix has come so far that you even forget that you've given up fidelity, because until you go and you put in a Blu-ray, which who's done that in the last couple of weeks, right? When was the last time you put a Blu-ray in something? Then you see, oh wow, Netflix, what they show you there, 4K, isn't that 4K compared to the real deal? But it's so convenient now.
There's fidelity and then there's graphics. Like,
no. I'm not arguing with you that Switch's graphics need work. I'm the one here on this show like dogging it whenever possible because they need to upgrade 100%. I am just saying for the short term, the short term of it right now, it is for power users. Give it a year. Give it some time for them to work out the kinks of it. And you will see this will become more of a mainstream kind of device. And I suspect that will probably happen with version 2.0 or whatever. But this is for us, for the techies for now, while all those wrenches are being turned. If you, a normal end user, want to buy that today, you can, but it will come with headaches because it's not for that for you right now. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. As long as we acknowledge that point and not pretend that this is a
it's not for everyone.
Competitor.
No, it's never been
like this topic is literally you can install Windows on it.
Yes. Remember what I said, Everborn, when we last talked about this when Delilah HD was here, and shout out to her. What did I say? I said people need to stop comparing it to the Switch. It's a mini computer. That's what this is. It's a mini computer in a Switch box, in a bigger Switch box. It should not be compared to the Switch because what is a Switch? A Switch is a mobile phone. Literally a mobile phone with controllers attached to it. This thing is not a mobile phone it's a full-fledged beefy PC that has been stripped as much as possible and obviously the screen has been made smaller. So the fact that your graphics processing isn't that huge doesn't matter because you're only adhering to a 7-inch screen. But it's not a Switch competitor. It is a competitor to like the Aya Neo and all those devices that cost you $1,000 for the same thing. That's what this is, right? It's a separate part in the market. It is not compared to Switch. That's why all those people out there doing reviews who compare it to a Switch, the minute you compare it to a Switch, I consider you somebody who doesn't know what you're talking about. Because it's not a Switch competitor at all, at all, right? It's not even a console competitor because it's open-ended. Like there's no lockdown of any kind on this thing. You can do whatever the hell you want with this thing, right? And because of that, it's a different market right now. Eventually, when they want to bring it to like the normal masses, somebody who would potentially buy a Switch, they'd have to lock it down a bit to get it to become a Switch competitor. And this is not Steam's bag. They don't lock anything down. So I don't really think it's a Switch competitor. But we can move on from there unless anyone has anything else they wish to discuss. Mr. Everborn Saga, you wish to argue with me some more, sir?
No. So the only thing I wanted to add is if you think any of those Q3 orders are actually coming out this year, I have a bridge to sell you.
Oh, I don't care about the Q3s. I'm a selfish gamer. I'm a Q2. I'm waiting for mine.
You think you're getting the Q2 in Q2? Do you believe that?
So if
like how much would you bet on that? I'm not asking you to bet.
Okay.
I just want to know how confident you are.
I would bet good money that I will have my Steam Deck by July. How about that? Okay. By July, I'll have my Steam Deck. And I'm saying it on here on our show, right? This episode 40, I'm saying it on our show. Y'all can come back and clown me when I'm wrong, but I'm telling you by July I will have mine.
Oh, I will.
Oh, of course you will. That's what you're here for, good sir. That's of course you will.
Listen, but okay. You are lucky if you get that this year. That's all I'm saying. So okay, Q3, there's no chance you're getting it this year. For all my Q3 brethren out there.
So Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap, welcome, sir. Thank you for being here. He's asking, why is Nintendo trying to take down videos instructing people how to emulate if it's not a competitor? It is not a competitor. The reason why they're doing that is because Nintendo knows that for years now, the reason why they've been able to get away with being as crappy as they are to their consumer base, selling them bad hardware as they do to their consumer base, is because they know that they're the only game in town. And now, because we have this mini PC that can emulate games of the Switch better than the Switch, it is in their best interest to stop people from being able to do that. Otherwise, even though it's not necessarily a direct competitor, there are people who will go, hey, by the way, why the hell are you buying a Switch in the first place when you can just get a Steam Deck? For those like for me, I have two Switches. One that is able to run Android because I did a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and one that runs the Steam that runs the Switch normally, right? And why did I get a Switch that's able to run Android? Because I wanted to play Game Pass on the Switch. Right? That's what I wanted. And I had to hack it in order for that to happen. Now I don't need to do that. There is a subset of individual like me who uses these devices for specific kind of purpose. And for those users, Nintendo's afraid that they will no longer get my $250 or $300 because now the Steam Deck is available and there's instructions all over the internet teaching people how to circumvent their capabilities. Even though, let's be clear here, emulating Switch games, not illegal. Not illegal at all. All you got to do is go to your eShop, buy your game, put it on the SD card, take that SD card, put it in the Steam Deck. You can do whatever the hell you want. Why is the browser disabled on PS5? Because they are petty and they're afraid that people are going to play Game Pass on it. I get you, brother. I understand where you're going with it. But at the end of the day, that is the manufacturer being petty and being fearful of losing their position because some other competitor is now in the space. Even though Valve themselves are not considering themselves competitors because they're producing a different product. It's a different product. It's in no way, shape, or form competing against a Switch. But okay, let us move on to a few other stories we have going because we're about an hour into this, an hour 20 minutes into the show. So there's a block of Sony stories coming. Some gloom and doom, right? Some of them are gloom and doom, but I think all in all we'll work it out. And I think we'll before we head our main story of the week, which I will let Everborn drive. I think we'll also talk a bit about state of play. I think the state of play will dovetail nicely into the main story of the week. So before we get to that state of play, let's talk a bit quickly, and I think I'll combine these stories just to get them out of the way quickly. First off, the situation where Michael Pachter said that PlayStation is doomed in the next 10 years. And let's be clear here. People are taking the highlight, just like these guys are here at comicbook.com. They're taking the highlight, which is kind of, it's a little bit disingenuous. He said they will not be the PlayStation of today in 10 years. They are doomed in the way they do business today in 10 years because of the steps that Microsoft is making. And although I hear him, and although I heard the other stuff he said, and he tends to be a bit of a carnival barker here and there. He tends to say things that are salacious just to get the attention. If you actually paid attention to the conversation they were having on RDX, and shout out to RDX, they had a very great conversation with him. You should check it out if you haven't. He's right if you pay attention to the nuance of the conversation being had. But of course, folks took the headline and moved it.
Kay Asante thinks PlayStation is doomed. I just want to go on the record and say that.
Shut your mouth, man. He's saying basically the long and short of it is he's saying that world of buy my box, buy my games that PlayStation has lived in, that Nintendo has lived in for all this time, all the way up until now, that paradigm is shifted because of Game Pass, because of Luna, because of Stadia. And obviously Stadia went as far as they could and they couldn't go any further. Obviously Luna is looming, and a quick shout out to anybody who happens to be an Amazon Prime subscriber. Go to gaming.amazon.com now and you can try Luna for free. They have rotating games so you can try it out for yourself and see, hey, if maybe you are a Game Pass subscriber or you play xCloud, try Luna, see how you feel about it, see the differences. It's available to you now.
That's doomed unless they bundle it. If they bundle that Luna,
which is coming, which I suspect is coming. Yeah.
If they don't bundle that, it's gonna die. Like no one wants to be told what they can play and when they can play it.
So one other thing, speaking of what Luna needs to do, I think, and I don't know how this works with licensing, right? But I think that Microsoft with xCloud needs to say that it is accessible outside of your whatever is included in the Game Pass subscription. Meaning, if I own this game, I should have a license to play it in the cloud. Well, and I think that's the next step that has to be taken before you could look at xCloud as an actual hardware replacement.
The problem with that, though, and I agree with you because that would make it a really good competitor in the marketplace. But the problem with that is then as people start playing their games, like, you own the game, you can play it in the cloud whenever you want, even outside of Game Pass. Then there's an argument to be made that then they're not getting money from the maintenance of upkeep to keep those servers alive to let you play your game. Because if you're playing a Game Pass subscription, you're paying a monthly subscription that then continues maintenance on those servers that are live, always ready for you to play your game. If by nature of you owning the game, you have access to it in the cloud outside of Game Pass, you can play that for free. Who's paying for that every month? Because those things aren't just there ready to be played, hit play, and you're going.
Yeah,
servers are being kept alive.
But they're on. I know it's not the same thing, but they are maintaining a presence for those things if you can download them, right? And so when they are, I'm just saying for xCloud to hit the next level, right? Meaning it actually is a legitimate replacement for a console, right? And listen, when I buy a movie from iTunes, like they're hosting those things, they stream them, right? I can go back and watch them at any time I want, or I can rent them, whatever. I think that they're going to need to do that because all of their competitors are allowing you to buy games in the cloud that are only accessible through the cloud. I'm saying this sort of entitlement that says if you buy a game, you not only have access to it in the cloud. And I think the only reason they haven't done that is because if you sign up to be in Game Pass, you are also signing up to be accessible via the cloud for the most part.
That's right. So they're threading the needle that way.
Right.
They're making you pay for it by virtue of Game Pass. Yes.
But it's not about who's paying for it. I'm saying these are, because I'm talking about third-party releases, right? I'm saying I bought Elden Ring, right? Microsoft.
So you want to own Elden Ring and then be able to just play Elden Ring from a Microsoft cloud server whenever you want because you own it.
The same way I can play it on any Xbox as long as I sign in. I should also be able to play it in the cloud.
See, that's the thing. But all the Xboxes that you can play it on, which you can obviously, right? You can remote play into your own Xbox, but that's your electric power. That is your internet connection you're traversing. You can do that. But if you expect them to allow it for free, there's a cost associated.
You're looking at a different thing than I am.
Okay.
I'm saying the reason they're not doing this is because they don't have the licensing in place with the third party to say, hey, you bought this thing and now you have the rights to play it in the cloud.
I understand.
I don't think it's an issue for Microsoft to say, I don't think they're worried about, oh, this is taking up space on a server so you can't use it. I genuinely don't. Maybe they are, but I don't think they're worried about that. I think they want to move away, whether it's 10 years or 20 years from now, they want to move away from hardware and just have it be a service. And the only way that works is if you can also buy games. Because unless they're saying the only way ever in the whole whatever they plan for xCloud is that you can only, everything has to be through a subscription. I don't think that's what they're trying to do.
Well, but see, I agree with you with what you're saying, but the reason why that's not achievable today is that the pendulum is not swung all the way that way yet. They're waiting for there to be enough individuals in that space that would play it digitally that way to then offset cost. Because today, if you do that, no big deal. Most people won't have a problem with it, and it won't be a detriment to their maintenance costs because not too many people use that. But if that becomes their offering or becomes part of their offering moving forward, there's a world where a lot more people start just playing that way because they have that right access. What do you think, Riskit?
Hold on. There's a world before you answer that, because I think we're missing the forest for the trees here.
Please.
The whole point of engagement is that people will spend money. It's that they don't care about engagement just because they like people playing the games.
They want people spending money. Yeah.
They will end up monetizing them. So if people are playing these games, the idea is that whatever cost it is to stream them through the cloud will be offset by the revenue gained from the engagement.
True. But that's only especially true off of like gas games and games that keep you playing in microtransactions. A game like Elden Ring would have no cost.
You can include that cost in licensing with and have a deal with your third parties. I don't think that would be an issue or a problem. A way to solve that issue, and I don't think they need to solve the issue now, which is why they're not solving the issue, because who is gonna play cloud that has a console at the moment?
Exactly.
They're
right
not
now,
really
it's not achievable. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're out there with xCloud if you want to get Game Pass, but I don't think there's many people that are really getting Game Pass and playing stuff on their PC a lot. Like, there'd be a few, there'd absolutely be a few.
Hey,
but I don't think
there are some. I mean, it's not in the States, but the other countries seem to be doing that a lot. A shout out to Ty Talks. We spoke to him last week. He's been part of Game Pass and all of that. And Xbox was the last actual piece of hardware he got. He was doing it on his phone. He was doing it. The hardware was more of just a gateway into it. And there are people who do it solely from their phone and stuff, which is rare for us, but it's happening. Right.
So the way to solve that problem is if they buy a game, have that as part of your subscription. So like if you are with Game Pass, you've got access to xCloud, and any game you own plus any game that you have in Game Pass, you can play on the cloud. I think that's paid for there. I don't think you need extra costs. I don't think Microsoft needs the extra money to do that.
No, I agree with that.
We've seen them not do it with FPS boosts and all the things that they've done in the back end for us gamers on Xbox.
FPS boost is a different beast, but I do understand the sentiment.
Anyway, ultimately, my point is for xCloud to go to the next level,
they need to be able to just offer it.
Sure, right? Where games that you can buy that will be playable in the cloud.
Okay,
right. And
absolutely agree.
So I think they will do it.
I agree that they will do it. I just don't think it'll be anytime soon. I think that the cloud will have to mature a bit further before that becomes a thing, but I do see it becoming a thing at some point. I do agree with you on that. But let's continue.
Stadia's and Luna's basically their whole model for the most part. It's like
let's continue down the Sony block, and this conversation will be a little tumultuous, but we're going to have it because we need to have it. Right? I'm sure people have heard by now that everywhere games are played, and everywhere the game developers tend to work seems to be a cesspool, and unfortunately, PlayStation is no different. Initially, it was one report. A lawsuit was brought to bear, and Sony was trying to downplay it and trying to get it dismissed because there was no quote unquote additional proof for it. They denied the claims, and now 8 more women have come out and basically alleged sexism at PlayStation, and they're creating basically a what's the type of lawsuit again? I forget the name of the type of lawsuit that this is, where more folks can join onto it.
Class action.
Class action. Forgive me. Thank you so much. Yeah. So now it's becoming a class action lawsuit where more names are being added to the pot, and here we are with all of this. So we don't know where this is going to go, but I want people to understand because and the cops are coming for you, everyone. I'm sure that's for you.
Oh yeah, man. They don't like when you talk the truth. They try to shut you down.
People are very quiet when it comes to PlayStation and all, because this has been a thing that's been out there. Activision Blizzard was a thing. Ubisoft has been a thing for quite some time. And it seems to be everywhere. Oh, Everborn, you're muted.
Can you highlight Slow-Mo's latest comment?
Oh yeah, sure, of course. Let's see. What did it say?
People oddly
quiet on this. Yeah, people oddly quiet on this. But all the smoke for Activision, Blizzard, Ubisoft, Bungie, and Riot Games. Exactly. This is exactly what I was saying, Slow-Mo. Thank you so much. It is everywhere. And when this was coming out about Activision Blizzard, when Ubisoft was under fire, when all these others are under fire, people are out there righteously holding the pitchforks, righteously holding the picket signs, saying this is not right. This is coming from PlayStation.
I got attacked for buying a Call of Duty game. I was like, what?
There you go. There you go. There you go. Right? And now it's happening to PlayStation, and because greatness, all of a sudden people are quiet. I don't appreciate that, because if we want this stuff to end, if we want this stuff to go away by and large, it doesn't matter if it's your favorite developer or your favorite studio or your favorite manufacturer. You got to be vocal out there. You got to say this is not right, and it has to be unanimous. It has to be across the board. Everyone must agree this is bad behavior that needs to stop. Not just, oh yeah, everybody else needs to stop, but when my favorite developer or my favorite people do it, then all of a sudden, oh yeah, let's wait to hear what everybody has to say first.
Well, let me add another point to this, right?
Go ahead. Yes.
I said this back months or a year ago, whenever we were talking about Activision. If you think it's just Activision and Ubisoft, then you can probably expect to get your Steam Deck this year. What I'm saying is this is more than likely widespread, and whatever your favorite developer is or your favorite company outside of gaming, this kind of thing is happening. So if you are somebody who's jumping on this or ignoring it for the sake of your preferences, remember, this is probably happening everywhere, and it is just a matter of who comes to light. And
yep.
and again, to put it in a different way, people act surprised now that cops are shooting so many black people and getting away with it. And what I tell those people is cops have been shooting black people and getting away with it. It's just now it's on camera. So now we're just hearing about this, but that doesn't mean it's not widespread and hasn't been going on for a long time.
Indeed.
Across the board. It's only a matter of time before you hear it about your favorite company. That's all I'm saying. So you should take your preferences out of this thing.
Yep.
Not you. I'm just saying anybody
in general.
Has
yes,
comments
100%.
Take your feelings out. Not take your feelings out, but take your preferences out and try to judge it based on what facts are presented.
Yeah, because this is in no way, shape, or form. It should have nothing to do with your console manufacturer of choice or whatever. across the board, we keep hearing this stuff, and it's egregious all around. It's absolutely ridiculous. And everyone should be unanimous in speaking out and saying this stuff needs to just stop. PlayStation needs to do more, right? They've been notoriously quiet when all this stuff happens, when social unrest is a thing, when all these news stories come out, they're hush, hush, hush. All the while, this stuff is festering in their backyard as well. So we all need to do a bit more to speak vocally and say, hey, guys, this is absolutely ridiculous, and we should not be allowing this to continue moving forward. Don't let PlayStation get a pass because it's PlayStation, right? We get it. They have great games, but that does not mean that they get a free pass in behaving badly, which is clearly what's happening right now. So I thought I'd bring this story up and get your opinion. Risk It. What do you think? Like, where do we see this stuff going? Because it seems to keep popping up everywhere. It's one company this week, next week is another company. No company seems to be immune from any of this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's pretty surprising that it's still going on after I was just reading the article then that these companies haven't learned from, like, the same as Cyberpunk, right? It was a cautionary tale. Look at Ubisoft, look at Activision. These are cautionary tales. If you've got these issues in your house, it's time to clean them up and fix them up now. And I don't think Phil Spencer's been quiet about the issues that they had with culture when he took over in 2014. And they've been working hard, I think, Microsoft, to fix those issues, because it was basically a big boys, white boys club, wasn't it? That's pretty much what Microsoft was in the 90s, right? And I think they've been working hard to fix that up. And I think any other companies that aren't getting ahead of this are just stupid, really. It's just stupidity. But then when it's brought to you as well, man, like, well, when it's brought to you as well by people within your own company and you ignore it, that's something else. That's maliciousness, and that's not cool. And those people that have ignored it should be out the door, man. But I mean, obviously, look, here's the other thing. We're so very, very quick to believe instantly that something's going wrong. If something is wrong, if something's reported. So one person, okay, that's definitely an investigation. You want to investigate it, right? But 8 people, man, that's
a serious issue. That's something's really going down. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I mean, I think the leadership should be. There should have been an investigation, and I think the leadership should now be doing an investigation into why there wasn't an investigation and how this has not been fixed up. And this is in the US, right? Because they've moved all their offices over to the US.
They have, yeah.
And this is do you think? Here's a question: do you think that this is a problem that's come over from Japan with them, or do you think that this is so possibly a culture thing that Japan had, or do you think this is something that was born of being in the US?
I actually, honestly, I think this has been this issue is what unifies everyone. It's not a Japanese issue. It's not an American issue. It's not a European issue, because everywhere, and I've been lucky enough to be able to speak with some folks who work in the industry. I have a buddy who works in the industry. Everywhere you go, and he's worked in America, he's worked in Europe, he's worked in Asia, he's worked all over the place. And everywhere you go, there may be cultural differences, but this is one thing where they are all unified in how they treat their minorities. And by minority, I mean they're women, I mean they're people of darker skin. I mean, it is everywhere. They are all seemingly guilty of the same kind of behavior, whether it be and like I said, some countries have different cultures and how they approach things. Obviously, we've heard famously how Japanese studios behave and how Japanese companies have a very different idea of loyalty versus American, and all that is true. But for some reason, it seems that this kind of behavior does not only seem to be an American issue or a European issue, because it's everywhere. Ubisoft is one of the biggest European companies in the world. They have so many employees. This stuff keeps happening there. Like ridiculous amounts. There are some horror stories that I can tell you that I will not share on the air because they're told to me in confidence, but everywhere. It is bad. It is bad. And we, as the consumers, have the ability to make changes there, because we need to start holding these people far more accountable than we have been, right?
Yeah,
In
well,
my
look,
humble opinion.
I would like to. That's the thing, right? So for me to talk about it on our podcast, this is an Xbox podcast calling out PlayStation. So as soon as we're doing that, we're Xbox.
Sure.
And so
Of course.
we've generally stayed away from the issue. We have touched on Activision, but the reason that we stayed away from it personally is because it's PlayStation. So
Understood.
And from the opposite end, not because we are PlayStation fanboys, but because we're not Xbox fanboys either, but we're seen as one side. So we would just be seen as one side attacking the other side. No, I don't think that's helpful.
Yeah.
Like, that's not helpful. That just takes away from then. If you try to tell someone something, hey, this is an issue and you need to do something about it on your side of the fence, and you need to take a stand on your side of the fence.
Yeah.
It's coming from this side of the fence. There's always that pushback that it's coming from this side of the fence, right? So to me, saying too much about this is it's counterproductive.
No, I agree. I agree with you. Although I will say, to those who are in your community and mine who are saying, oh, well, you're picking sides, it's their problem, whatever. We're all gamers, man. We play everywhere. Like, even if you're on an Xbox specific podcast, doesn't mean that the people there don't have PlayStations. It may be Xbox, may be the topic of the day or the topic of the conversation, but we all want games to be successful, right? And in the world we live in today, an Xbox game can easily be a PlayStation game. It just requires money changing hands. There's no magical sauce that makes them different, right? So when something's going wrong one place, I feel like it's going wrong everywhere. We should be keeping track of our brothers and sisters wherever they happen to play. You know what I'm saying?
I would agree with that. I think Phil would agree with you on that. I think Phil stated that many, many times. He has said exactly what you said. It's not a one studio, one publisher issue. It's
everywhere at this point.
It's an industry-wide issue that needs to be addressed. But look, as well, keep in mind also, when I was attacked about the buying Call of Duty, I was like, dude, there is like 9,000 employees that worked on Call of Duty, right? Not every single one of them is bad. Like, not all those guys are bad people.
Exactly.
To that end, and there's more than enough reports, let alone threatening to murder someone. But I find it sort of reductive and a little bit simplistic for people that think, oh, all you have to do is get rid of Bobby K.
Oh,
right?
yeah, please.
This is a bigger thing. We, like you said, there's upwards of 10,000 employees there. How many different places along the lines? Who in HR knew about this and let it go? So these problems are more deep-seated, and we like to kind of villainize or white knight certain people, like oh, Phil's in charge, so he's gonna fix it, or Bobby K is there, so he's the source of the whole problem. And it's really not that simple. You not saying you don't need to get rid of certain people, and not saying other people aren't good, but it is bigger than that. And we are doing this whole situation a disservice when we oversimplify some of the causes of these problems.
It's a systematic issue, right?
Right.
That's the word for it, man. It's systematic and it's culture.
Agreed. Well, you know what? I agree, and I actually think that, and risk it, I will say, as a proud viewer of your show, please speak on these issues, because we all need to hear it. Like, not everybody hears this stuff. Some people are in their echo chambers. Don't be afraid to talk about it, because everyone needs to hear this, whether it be from our side or Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. If it's gaming, it's all fair game, and everyone should know that this is going on, and they should make a vested interest in being vocal out there, right? The best thing you can do is be vocal. Be vocal out there. Let the powers that be hear you say, hey, this is some BS and y'all need to stop it. Like, actually, it doesn't take a lot of time to do that.
I actually, funnily enough, decided I was going to about an hour before the show. And I've invited a couple of girls on the show that I know are gamers, and we're going to talk about this because it's also just ridiculous being a woman in gaming. Have you guys played COD and there's been a chick in the lobby? It's just out of control. Like,
it's out of control.
It's not just coming from the developers either. It's actually the gamers also, man. and it's some of them are kids, and you hear the excuse my language, you hear the shit they say, you just like, oh.
Yeah.
Dude, we're playing 100%. A video game. This is for fun, man. She is a girl. She's like, so what? Like, also she was a girl and she was bad at the game. Don't address her gender. Like, address the fact that she's bad at the game. You can heap shit on someone and have nothing to do with gender.
I had a 13-year-old curse me out because I was bad at Destiny. We were on a raid, and the way this little son of a bitch was talking about me, I was like, I'm not playing online again.
So as I've said before, I've been part of the Xbox Insider program for a while. Every once in a while, they send us surveys asking this various questions. Do you play online? Why don't you play online? Call of Duty, specifically for Call of Duty. They've asked me about that before. They've asked me, all of this stuff, and it's always the same answer. No, I don't. Why? Because it's a cesspool out there. Right. And you see Microsoft is trying to do they're not now they have algorithms that'll catch keywords that'll make sure that they want to ban you if you're going overboard. The pendulum is swinging too much in the wrong directions, either policing everyone very hardly or expecting them to police themselves. There is no right answer just yet.
Well, I have an answer, and I've been doing this for the better part of a decade. If I don't know you, meaning we haven't spoken on the phone and I don't know you as a person, I'm not playing online with you.
Yeah.
Right. I don't game with strangers.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
Like that.
Which is unfortunate because
no new friends.
No new friends, he says. But okay. Let us move on and let us pick up our spirits a bit, because I know that Everborn has a bit of a rant that he wants to make about gamer expectation. But before we get to that rant, because oh boy, y'all gonna be here for this
and the blue-eyed envy.
The blue-eyed envy, which is the name of this show. But let's get to why there's blue-eyed envy. And for that, we will talk about the state of play that just happened a few days ago. Also PlayStation. This is a PlayStation block today. PlayStation show. We are gamers. We play everywhere. And this week there seems to be a lot of PlayStation talk. So we'll talk PlayStation. They had a state of play, right? And we can have a preliminary discussion as to whether you think that Xbox should have more a state of play like for consumers.
No.
We'll get there.
Not like that one.
Well said, sir. Well said. But let's at least take stock of what was at the state of play. Okay, let's go through it, and it won't be long. Just real quick, we'll get to it here. There's this, which is like, where is my Dino Crisis? Why am I living in this exoprimal dystopian future? Where is my?
Can't you just tell yourself this is Dino Crisis and be fine? Like, what if this was the same game and they just said it's the new Dino Crisis? Actually, watching the trailer for this again. And who was that sat down at the end of the trailer?
It's not just Dino Crisis. It's Dino Crisis. It's what do you call it? The EA game that came and went with Iron Man suits and whatnot. Come on, give me the name. You know what I'm talking about.
Anthem.
Anthem. It is Anthem. Yeah. It has Anthem suits, right? Literally Anthem suits. Dino Crisis. It's like a hodgepodge of and it looks like it's a gas game because that's the new soup du jour. It just I don't get it. And by the way, watching the trailer again, and maybe I went a little too far with my Digital Foundry eyes, but the whole thing is very weird. They drop a bunch of dinosaurs from the sky. No shadows anywhere. It's like these dinosaurs are like floating in space. They're not actually walking on the ground.
Also, here's my other question is, how did all those dinosaurs survive? You're dropping massive dinosaurs from the sky.
From the sky. Don't they kill each other? Don't they die on impact? What is going on here?
It's real weird. It was weird, man.
The whole thing was very, very, very strange. So, yes, I saw it. They had some interesting ideas. Let me actually hit play and see if it'll play anything. It probably won't, but
be careful. You might get hit with the.
I might get hit with the. Yeah. I might get hit with the thing. I don't want to get hit with the thing. Let's move on. But yes, I wasn't enthused with this one. Let's just say I wasn't enthused. And by the way, look what's coming. Everything, including old school, last gen. So don't expect wonders. But yes, let's move on there. And then we have this one. Can somebody pronounce this for me? Because I can't pronounce it myself.
Deerfield
Chronicles?
I'd say Diofield Chronicles.
Diofield Chronicles.
Tomato,
like,
tomato.
But yeah, another one of those things where I'm just like, okay, I don't know. Please, I don't want to be pessimistic here. I don't want to be the party pooper here. Did this game look good? Because I see Mr. Joanna Dark saying that game looks great. Am I wrong?
Nah.
It didn't do much for me, man. I'm sorry. It just didn't.
But are you into that kind of game?
I actually am into Fire Emblem. Yeah, I enjoyed the Fire Emblem games at all. Like totally. I've played them on my Switch for quite some time now.
And that's also like cross-plat, right?
Yeah. This is cross-platform as well. Actually, only 2 games were like solely PlayStation only games. Yeah, only 2 games were that.
And this is not even timed exclusive. This is just straight multi-plat day one.
Yep, straight multi-plat day one.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that.
The only 2 that were exclusive is a AA game, which is that Valkyrie Elysium, and Gigabash, which is
Gigabash. That's right.
Yeah. Which is like crazy. They just did a state of play to show like
2 games.
What?
Yeah, to show 2 games that by themselves, those 2 games would not warrant an actual like a whole event. You know?
Do you think this is a diversion away from what's going on and what we were just talking about? Because Mr. Boom, we had on the show.
Come on, Slow-Mo. I have to have my day. This is my day. Okay, calm down.
Mr. Boom reckoned that this show was purely to take away from what's going on with the
accusations and whatnot.
Yeah,
yeah
no,
that is a thought.
I disagree. I disagree
it's a take. You know, it is a take. What did you guys think of the Returnal Ascension trailer? Will this bring you back to Returnal?
It'll bring me to Returnal.
Does it have checkpoints?
There's an arcade mode. I don't know if it has checkpoints.
Now, what I asked you, sir, mode. I said, do they have checkpoints?
But I don't know what the arcade mode entails. There might be checkpoints in the arcade.
If they don't have checkpoints, they can continue to K my A.
Hey, see, now my chat is turning on me, man. My chat is turning on me. I got Mr. Joanna Dark going, Mr. El Asante. What? Excuse me, sir. There you go. Enjoy yourself. I'll let you have that one. Good job, man. But no, I will say co-op might get me to play Returnal because by itself, there were bugs in the beginning and this and that, but it seems like co-op could lend pretty well to Returnal. I don't know. It might do it because it's tough. Yeah. You can team, you can strategize. I think that's a good look for Returnal.
I'm still not paying $60 for it, but
but and to your point, the plus of that, which stunned the heck out of me, it's an upgrade for free. PlayStation free upgrade. Right. What? Head scratch. What happened? They are releasing this for free.
Wait, hold on. So Mr. Joanna Dark says they already added checkpoints. Did they add checkpoints or save points? Because that's a difference. No, someone answer that. I don't know because
they added save points. They added save points, not checkpoints. Save points.
Yeah. Yes. Pragmatic Eagle said as well, I missed this state of play. I meant to watch it and I'll go back and watch it later today. Yeah. Don't bother, man. It's wasn't worth
it. And then we come to Ghostwire Tokyo. What do we think of Ghostwire Tokyo? I love the graphics. I think the graphics look really cool, but I don't know if I want to play it.
It makes me super interested for Evil Within 3.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not.
What about this game itself? Are you going to play it?
No, I'll definitely give it a miss. I mean, it's going to come to Game Pass, so am I going to play it? Yeah, I'm going to play it. I don't think I'm going to like it, and then I'll turn it off and uninstall it.
Yeah, I will.
Graphically, it looks great. Go ahead.
I will play this as soon as it comes to Game Pass because I'm not paying $60 for this.
Sure.
Yeah.
It didn't look like something I would spend $60 on, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'll try it for free.
Now we come to the weird one of the bunch. Okay. They've showed this game multiple times. there have been parts of the game that I see, and this is Forspoken for my audio listeners, there have been parts of the game that I've loved, that I thought, ooh, this is cool, this is interesting. But then there are parts that I'm just like, this is so strange. Like, it's almost unfinished graphically. And there's just, it's floaty and weird in certain spots.
It still looks better than Elden Ring. But not gameplay-wise, I'm saying graphics-wise. I'm saying graphics-wise.
True.
Yes.
But let's establish a weird ground on this game. This game is day and date Xbox achievements on PC.
Yeah. But
unlike
I
any
want to
other
download
game.
this from the Windows Store.
Well, but that's not the point. Stop
It
the
kind of
who's
is,
gonna.
though.
Yeah, no, because stop the who's gonna. Every time you say who's gonna, there's a million people behind you going, I would. Like, don't never assume, because that you're always wrong. It's not about who's
been a
gonna.
million people that
It's
are
about-
wrong before,
It's not about who's gonna. It's about the idea that this game has been locked down to a 2-year exclusive, which has been proven, right? Because it even says it in the fine print when you watch the trailer. It says 2-year exclusive. But unlike any other 2-year exclusive before it, this can be purchased day and date on PC, which has been done before. But this one has Xbox achievements day one if you buy it.
I think it was Money Had It Late was the story behind
That's
this.
my thought on it. Yes, that is exactly Risk It. That's exactly where I think this is going. This was Money Had It Late, and because of that, the groundwork had already been established for multiplat. So they just basically are parking the PS4, the Xbox version, but all the other groundwork has already been laid. So you're going to get your achievements day one anyway, which is so strange. Like, I would think you would undo the stuff you've already done. There's if you go into the Xbox app on your phone right now, the Xbox app, you can search up Forspoken and buy it.
Hey,
right now
you can. Like, everybody that has the Xbox app in their phone, go search for Forspoken. You will see it come up right there
on your Xbox app,
which is super
only playable on PC, but
now,
still.
Now, let me ask you all a question, right? Mm-hmm. What are the odds that this game goes day one Game Pass for PC?
Game Pass. Ooh, that would be cold-blooded. Ooh, that'd be cold-blooded.
Because they have late announcements, right? We could get this announcement October 1st.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
And the clips that they showed in the State of Play, I really feel like it looked like a mixture of Elden Ring and Returnal, which is kind of like a weird mix, but also it looks slightly more interesting. But I really need to see some unencumbered gameplay before.
To your point, Everborn. To your point, imagine if this game, and you've seen all the beasties that are running around that world and whatnot. Imagine if this game, the traversal all fast and fluid. Imagine if the gameplay, the actual fighting, was Elden Ring-esque.
Okay, I didn't like your analogy on that in the first place, so I will call it out now, sir.
What's this?
Instead of saying don't let FromSoft do the UI, how about saying FromSoft up your UI skills? We don't have to take them out of the equation, right? They made the game.
Look,
if they could put all of that effort into making the game, they could put some effort into making it better.
No, look. The reason why I brought out the what do you call it? The John Wick example is John Wick is a movie of itself. It will continue to be a film in and of itself, right? But you can bring the makers of John Wick into other genres, into other movies. They can lend their expertise to those other movies while still keeping it what it originally is. Yeah, exactly. You can add
brought him in to do some of the fight choreography in the
Emancipation, the what's the other one? The movie, the DC movie with
Harley Quinn.
With Harley Quinn, exactly. You can keep a Harley Quinn movie. That's right. You can keep a Harley Quinn movie while adding a little bit of John Wick.
Yeah, but how did that work out in the case of that movie? Because
we're not talking about the logistics of it.
But you brought it up as your example. I'm just saying it has holes.
But you see what I'm saying? You could do that to Elden Ring. You can bring FromSoft's style to other genres while still keeping those other genres pure. Right, but needless to say,
why I don't like that line of thinking is because I know that with the success of Elden Ring, we're going to get a bunch of Elden Ring clones that don't have the same DNA and love and passion put into it, and it's going to be these throwaway games that don't get what makes Elden Ring special. So
what about Stranger of Paradise? This one actually did look a little interesting.
It looked better than when they first showed it.
Yes, it did. Yes, it does. It looks interesting. It is multi-platform, so you'll be able to play it everywhere. It's also old, last gen and current gen. So it is cool. I did
actually
like
got
what
it downloaded, but I haven't played it yet. I've got because it's a demo available. So
yeah,
I did download it, mean to play it, but I've never really been a massive on Final Fantasy. This looked absolutely terrible. This looks like a
absolutely dreadful. Like I was like, what the heck is going on with this? This is
why are you showing
this
that?
is not ready. Well, because I'm showing the masses. I'm
no you. I mean them. Like why are they bringing that up?
Yeah. Why would you show
this?
Like it's almost like, remember how they want to do the Transformers Gen 1 style, right? It's almost like they were trying to do a Gen 1 style Gundam game, but they
hold on, Santi, that's where you messed up. You said that they were trying.
Yeah, they were trying because it didn't succeed.
I don't think they were trying. But
you
anyway.
don't think so? Okay,
no,
okay.
Not hard.
But yeah,
it just looks.
This does not look good to me. I don't know. It just does not look good to me. I could be wrong. Maybe this is not for me. Maybe this is not my genre. I get it, but it just does not enthuse me. I don't know.
No, I've heard that opinion as well. Like from everyone that I speak to that's seen that is like, why are they showing that? That's terrible.
Now this here,
star of the show.
This here, oh boy, day one, take my money right now.
Yeah.
Where is this? I need this in my life immediately.
I might buy this on the Steam Deck.
I am buying it on Steam for the purpose of Steam Deck. Yes, I am. And for the record, I play these games, all of these games, well, most of them, all the time, because I have many retro consoles and retro game systems that I play these on. And I'm a huge TMNT fan. I've been for a very long time. It is like this stuff came up when I was coming up. So every single game, I can close my eyes and remember where I was when I first experienced it. These games are treasures to me, like treasures. And the fact that they're all in one collection, oh yeah, day one, I'm there. Like, oh my God, turn one,
is a
holy balls. Oh yeah.
And some of these games are like hard, right? Like we talk about Elden Ring.
A lot of these games are hard as heck. They are hard. Very, very, very difficult. Yes, very difficult. But they're super fun. Like I still enjoy playing all these a lot. I'm actually looking forward to Tournament Fighter. I'm looking forward to Tournament Fighter so bad to see people come back.
I'm playing Turtles in Time on the Surface Duo right now via emulation.
There you go. Which version of Turtles in Time? Because there's multiples.
I have no idea. Whatever very legal ROM I have. Extremely legal.
The Nintendo Turtles in Time is a little different than the Genesis Turtles in Time.
The Super Nintendo.
It doesn't matter what ROM you have. If you just fly to Russia, you can download whatever you want there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, so this one is on everyone's radar, and I actually suspect this might be Game Pass. Who knows? This might come to Game Pass because it is definitely multi-plat, right? It's definitely
I can see that
Game Pass. I can see that. And then Gigabash, which is another exclusive for PlayStation, which I'm like, why? Why did you guys show this? I don't know. It just did not look
because they don't have anything else.
Because like
that is one way to look at it.
Like if they had something else, right, they would show it, wouldn't they?
It really doesn't look good. It looks very, very simplistic and very surface level. It has no depth to it. I don't know. I just didn't grab me. So there you go. There's that. I'm Mr. Pessimistic today. Forgive me.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll talk about it in my topic coming up.
And then we have, of course, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle, which, I remember the original version of this. I don't think this is the best showing of the trailer. I think that there will be a better showing, and it will be very exciting for fighting game fans.
It looks ugly.
Yeah, this wasn't the greatest show. The cell shading, the deep blacks, kind of, I don't know. I think it's not doing it a good service. It's almost like bad version of Borderlands. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not.
You know what this looks like? This looks like the Berserk season 3 anime. Where it got real terrible out of nowhere.
Yes. And then of course we have this one. Which is day one Game Pass already. Yeah. Already know.
It looks good.
But it's like freaking awesome. Cannot wait to try this game. It looks amazing. People are Sifuing all over the place with this game, which I can see where you're saying Sifu, but I also see like like what do you call it? Ghost of Tsushima, very much Ghost of Tsushima vibes.
But this was announced. This was announced like way back.
Way back. Yeah.
Like,
way back.
I don't know if it was 18 or 19, but it was like one of those shows that they announced it, and it was at the Xbox show. And this, man, looks amazing. And it looks like
it looks amazing.
Since they showed it initially, it looks like they polished it even further. And I'm super.
Like how nobody remembers that they showed this at the Xbox show. First.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People just, they don't remember. But you know what? These days, my excitement for watching these shows, this and the Nintendo Directs, are all the Game Pass fodder. Oh, this is coming to Game Pass. Oh, that's coming. Like, that's why I watch these shows, right? So okay. So this, by and large, was everything that they showed for the State of Play, right? And that brings us to our topic of the week. This week, right? And we called this show the Blue-Eyed Envy for a reason, okay? And I think I will let Mr. Everborn Saga take lead on this, because he brought this to me. He and I had this conversation over the phone a couple days ago, and we've had this conversation many times on this show, but this specific time frame and this specific time uniquely brought this into stark visualization for both of us. So,
okay, listen, I want to start out by saying to my Xbox brethren, so-called brethren, stop crying, right? And the reason I say that is every time Sony sneezes, you get this band of Xbox fans that start crying like Xbox has not been delivering, and they're not executing on their plan, and they're not doing all these things. All like, and I want you to think about this. Remember when the news broke about Final Fantasy 16 being exclusive, even though we already knew that, exclusive to the PlayStation. We already knew that, but a new article came out, and we're in January. Halo had just dropped to 20 million players. Forza dropped a month before that. You had a summer that gave you Psychonauts and Game Pass, as well as Death's Door and 12 Minutes and Flight Sim and all those things. And then everybody's like, what is Xbox gonna do? They're not telling us anything. We don't know what's gonna happen in these next 6 months. Sony has GT7 and Horizon Forbidden West. What are they gonna do? And then literally, because we had a show on Monday on the 17th talking about that. And then on the 18th, they announced what? They were buying Activision Blizzard, the most valuable third-party publisher in the world. Right? Everybody goes crazy, right? Then, not literally, less than a month later, right? And this is after you got what's the name of this thing in Hitman 3. You got that in Game Pass, right? So then Horizon comes out, and everybody forgot that they were buying the biggest publisher in the world, that they just gave you Halo and Forza, and that whole last 6 months that everybody loved Xbox for. And Xbox was doing great, right? Shut up, slow-mo. And then Horizon comes out, and then again, everybody's like, oh my God, what are you doing, Xbox? I don't have anything to play, right? And again, Sony sneezes, and then they start crying again, like you didn't just get, like the last Sony game that came out was June 2021. It was June 2021, and then you had, I mean, there's still Kena Bridge of Spirits and Deathloop, but you know what I'm saying, right? You had to wait until February to get Horizon, but people were still, again, crying, right? So then, now Sony's doing a show, right? And then everybody's crying again. I don't know what's going on. They had a great last 6 months, but now they're so quiet. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on with Xbox. Where's our show, Phil? And then this is the show we got. right? And guess what? Now there's going to be an indie showcase, right? So what I'm saying is people pretend like there's no reason to have an Xbox anytime Sony does something, right? Even though it was the greatest thing when you got some news. And so this blowing with the wind of what you think you're getting is really, like, to me, is tiresome, right? So and I'm not saying that Xbox doesn't need to do some better communication. I'm not saying that they don't need to deliver games. But listen, Pixelbit G has been playing Warhammer. Nobody talks about that, right? You just got Guardians of the Galaxy, and you could say, oh, where's our Horizon? Guess what? More people are playing Elden Ring than Horizon right now, and that very easily could have been locked down to the PlayStation platform. But you are playing the best game in the world right now is available on your platform. So if you only define games by what other people can't play, are you really in it for the games? Or are you just in it to get, like, Twitter bragging points? And it's the same thing with the people crying about, COD is not going to be exclusive. Why do I even have my Xbox? It's not valuable anymore because other people can play this game.
Because it'll be in Game Pass. So who gives
Exactly. This is my point. All of this I can't. And this is not like a war, right? But it just smacks of weakness of character. And I'm not saying you need to stand by something that you don't find valuable, but you can't tell me you thought Xbox was doing great things on January 18th, and now because Sony announces a show, now you don't know what's going on with the platform. It's weird to me. And if you're here to play games, your number one concern should be that you have games to play on your platform. And if what you want is the Horizon Forbidden West type games, then go get the PlayStation.
Can I throw something on the back of this? On the back of what you're saying?
Yeah, go ahead.
This annoys me. So as Aussies, we swear all the time. This annoys me as well. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, you've got a multiplayer game. You've got 2 multiplayer games, 2 of the best rated multiplayer games in the last 2 years. Came down the pipeline not 3 months ago. And people are complaining about what we have and don't have. Yes, Halo needs more content. Yeah, we've talked about that on the show nearly every week. But Forza's got heaps of content. Halo's still a great game. But here is the kicker, and where I'll sway with the wind slightly. We've got Redfall coming, but what's going on with it? Like, that was due for summer, right? And we know that Bethesda likes to announce their games close to summer.
Mm-hmm.
Close to the time of release, and they'd like to show you then. But it's getting pretty close to summer now. We haven't heard anything. I'm not saying we don't have anything to play.
So to your point, risk it. To your point, and we've heard Everborn rant, and his rant is valid. I give him righteous. Yeah. His smoke is righteous. I give him righteous smoke.
And one more point before you finish that. Slow-mo points out that all this crying about where's Xbox's show, and they just announced an ID at Xbox show. And we'll see how many fun games look like they're going to be there versus the state of play. But go ahead.
But if you know what Xbox is like, that's typical of Xbox. Xbox always do an ID first, and then 2 to 3 months later, possibly even 4, depending on what's going on in the background, they'll do a big show. And these shows don't. You've heard Phil again say, like Phil and Sarah Bond say, these shows don't come together in like a matter of weeks. These shows are like 6 months in the making. So
very true. Yep.
You know, so it's happening, man. Everyone's just
calm. Although I agree with you, Everborn, and I think people are ridiculous when they get all in their feels about it. Is there an argument to be made that Microsoft, even beyond the balls and strikes of PlayStation versus Xbox or all that stuff, even beyond all that, is there an argument to be made that, hey, with so many studios now under your belt, with so many projects now being worked on, shouldn't there be a cadence of communicating with your consumer base from time to time, letting folks, like Riskit was saying about where's Redfall footage, right? You said it'd be in the summer. Summer's right around the corner. We should at least see tidbits of that stuff, right?
Before you answer that, let me just say
Microsoft
can't win because last year they were getting slayed for over communicating. This year they're getting slayed for not communicating.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what they do.
Yep, 100%. No, you're absolutely right.
Someone's going to be complaining.
Absolutely right. See, me personally, I believe that Everborn is absolutely correct. People need to calm down. This is not this is not gloom and doom, right? There's so much in the works right now.
50 plus games.
Yeah, y'all are just not being patient enough. It's just, y'all are just, it's ridiculous.
But you don't have to be patient. There's games to play right now.
There are games to play right now, yes. But where I do see a little bit of what's being said, where I get a bit of the point is, take a Netflix, for instance, right? The analogy has been, they want to be the Netflix of games. Netflix, if you pay attention, Netflix has, in addition to the Netflix channel themselves, the YouTube channel on Netflix, where they show you, hey, this is coming out, that's coming out. Like, because they have diversified their offering so much to the fact that there's like Geek Fair on Netflix now. You can get your Castlevanias, you can get your live action that used to be an anime, which has had varying levels of success, we know. But they've had so much content now that every 2-3 months, there's, I think, what do they call it? Netflix Geek. Even Netflix Geek has a separate channel, and they're just like churning out, hey, here's the next iteration. Here's the new thing coming out. In 6 months or so, here's something else coming out. Hey, here's a trailer for this. In a bubble, right? Where it's not to be competing against Xbox versus PlayStation, whatever. Still, I think, although I believe that it's the wheel is starting to turn, I do think there is some criticism that is righteously levied at Microsoft and saying, hey, you guys are trying to be this one-stop shop of gaming subscription. You need to be more vocal with your consumer base to say, hey, this is what's happening. This is what I get. The stuff they're doing on Game Pass is great, but I think maybe the world where everything's getting announced on Twitter is kind of cheapening it a bit. Maybe there needs to be a bit more of official, like a more official announcements being made, maybe videos being put together, maybe packages being put together, more in the vein of your Nintendo Direct or your State of Play. Instead of, hey, here's another thing coming out on Twitter. Here's another. Twitter cheapens it, I think.
I want to make a
Go ahead,
prediction here.
Yeah,
I suspect that we will see more things that we want to play from this ID at Xbox showcase with Twitch than we saw at the State of Play.
Oh, that's not a bet to be made. That's guaranteed, brother.
Oh, is that so?
Of course
this is my point. Like, I feel like what people want more than games is ammo for the console.
Talking points. That's what they want. Talking points.
That they don't like seeing PlayStation guys say, "Oh, look what we have and what you don't." So they want something to throw back at them. And every time that is the case, they start crying to Phil Spencer or whoever else and having these little support groups. And I'm just like, are you actually here for the games?
They do have support groups. Check out Spaces. They definitely have support groups.
No, and I need to. This is not to say, again, there's work for everybody to do. There's things Sony could improve. There's a ton of things Microsoft could improve. But a lot of these complaints are hilarious to me, and to a point they're kind of like sad, right? So I'm just saying, like, if you're in it for the games and new games are being provided for you to play, then either stop crying or just say you really just want a PlayStation, and then you can get that.
Do you know what I think would help the situation, though? This is what I've been saying is Hellblade, the developers of Hellblade Ninja 3 do a really good job. If you go looking for it, they don't stick it on Twitter. You got to go looking for it. You got to go to their site, their website. You go to their YouTube. They do a really good job at Dev Diaries.
Yes, they do. They're excellent at it. Yep.
Yeah. Updates, and they're just telling you what they're doing with working with the game, kind of where they're up to. You've got a rough idea of what's happening. That's enough for me. I mean, I look, Fable is that the game that I want the most. And I just want to know what's going on. Like, are we 3 years out? Are we 2 years out? Is it coming at the end of the year? I mean, that's not happening. But like,
Why the heck is there no Fable collection where there's some remasters and stuff to keep people happy, tied them over until that Fable the remake comes out? Like,
but just some information. I just think I'm not like, oh, we don't have anything to play. I've got a backlog that's massive. And if you don't have a backlog that's massive, you need to go outside and walk on some grass because you don't have a life, right?
Yeah, clearly.
But I just want to know. I just want to like be not for talking points. Just we'd be like, oh, Wicked, it's something to get excited for. So Fable's coming in 2023, and we got Redfall coming at the end of this year, and we got Perfect Dark, man, that's coming in 2025.
So Risk It. My thing is, if you were saying that before the state of play got announced, perfect. But I didn't hear, not from you. I'm saying from the segment of the community that I'm talking about. They didn't say this until Sony announced an event. Or they didn't say this until Horizon comes out. And that is when you hear these things bubble up. And if people were talking about that before, which I'm sure you were, then that's no problem. Because what are they doing? As the kids say, they're keeping the same energy, right? And again, there is room for them to communicate. Personally, I believe it would do wonders for the Xbox Game Studios brand if they were actually to invest resources or even have a specific team that works on vertical slices, because it seems like they don't like to do that. They just did it with Hellblade 2, but by and large, they've been staying away from these vertical slices. And I think all of these big games that they're making, I know they don't want to divert resources away to that, but I think it is worth it for the hype around these games for them to specifically focus on building vertical slices of these big games that were coming. And even if they don't come for 3 years after that, and even if they have a slight visual downgrade, because that's what everybody else always does, I think they should do that, because then it gives people something to go off of, right? When you build those vertical slices. Even if it slows down production, I think people would appreciate vertical slices.
The last time they did that, it didn't go very well. Was that? I think it was Crackdown 3.
And Halo,
they did that on
Halo.
That might be why they're a little bit like, ooh.
Yeah, they tend to be gun shy, because anytime they go out on a limb like that, they get their hand smacked in one way or another. They always tend to get their hand smacked. But I do agree that out of the bubble, out of the console wars, this, that, and the other, out of all of that, if you are a subscription service trying to continue to provide value to your consumer base and give new games, whether it be third party or first party. I hear what you're saying, Everborn. They keep giving you games to play. I get that, but they should be doing that in a more. The marketing should be better. Like, announcing it on Twitter should not be enough, because that's not where everybody's at. Like, and it cheapens.
Well, we're arguing about this on Twitter.
No, I
don't know where else they're talking about it.
Like that. Those are other people on some other stuff, and I don't want to deal with them. That you're
I'm talking to those people.
I know you're talking to the Spaces fools, but that's them. Like, that's fine. I get that, but I'm just saying in general.
I know exactly who you're talking to.
Oh, I know who he's talking about too, but we're gonna move on from that. But I guess what I'm saying is, where actual criticism can be righteously levied at them is they seem to be dumbing down their marketing efforts a little bit.
You're right.
What do you call it? Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a big game that has come into Game Pass. It is an amazing, and bro, if you haven't played it, it's so much fun. The quipping, the talking, the graphics, the energy. It's a great game. And what did they do?
One of the games of last year, man.
Yes.
One of the games last year.
They dropped it on Twitter like, oh yeah, by the way, here's no. Like, you can have a state of play-esque show showing, hey, we have Guardians of the Galaxy now. Hey, we have Warhammer now. Hey, we have Weird West now. Hey, there's even though those are all games that people have played before somewhere at some point, your Game Pass audience may not be part of that group. And the viewership will probably be as good as the state of play of PlayStation's, because at least they have quality games that people will be excited to try out that they've never done it on Xbox, versus all the stuff that was shown here that we all agree was not necessarily the best, but they at least put the show together.
There was some really great Game Pass ads they had in the 2020 and 2019 and 2021. We haven't seen one of those for ages, right? They used to really drum Game Pass hard.
Yeah,
but now we're hearing nothing.
I think the unfortunate side effect of all of this is they've kind of ruined the name of Inside Xbox, so they can't bring it back and retool it like a Nintendo Direct or like a State of Play. Because anytime anybody hears Inside Xbox, they go, it's gonna be crap, because they have tried multiple times with that moniker and it's never been really great. And I, for one, actually enjoyed some of the Inside Xbox stuff. It went on too long. They did too many interviews and stuff. They didn't show too much gameplay as they should have. So I personally think they should retool that show. Continue calling it Inside Xbox. Like
Slow-Mo and Pixelbit G said in the chat, they should put the games up front, condense it into an hour-long show, and then you can have the interviews on the back end, and people can stay for that if they want. But you'll have a great show if you put all of that stuff, because they showed like 40 games last year in last year's Twitch thing, but it was like 2 minutes at a time. So put all that together and then do your interviews afterwards.
Like Slow is saying, with 34 studios, I'd expect there to be them to do quarterly Inside Xbox shows that deliver real content. Exactly.
I don't think that'll be by next year though, Slow-Mo. It'll start next year. I think we're going to be into because look how long it really took to onboard the first set of studios, which is Obsidian and In Exile and Ninja Theory and all of them. They were still operating with existing contracts and all those things, and they're really just getting into their games now, and they were purchased in 2018. I hate to say it, right? And Bethesda was an already up and running publisher, so they had things in the pipeline. But the first real thing we're getting, if it comes out this year, is Redfall and Starfield. So I unfortunately think we're going to be into 2024 and 2025 to where they're really hitting on all cylinders, and they have so much content that they can't fit it in one E3 show. It's going to have to be quarterly or even more than that shows. We'll get there with the amount of studios they have today without them buying any more, even though I hope they get Sega. Take your shot.
Take your shot. Right? He said the same.
But the point is, I do think it's going to take more than 2023, Slow-Mo. I think we're 2024, 2025 before that kind of thing starts to really take shape. So unfortunately.
Okay. So I guess my question to you, Everborn, since you were so vexed with this conversation, like when we were having this conversation in the first place, what do you think the public, the people who happen to be listening to this right now, what do you think they should do if they genuinely? And I'm not talking about the balls.
Stop crying.
I'm not talking about the balls and strikes, folks. I'm not talking about the list comparison, folks. I'm not talking about my Xbox is not as good as your PlayStation, folks. Their opinions, honestly, I could care less about. I'm not in that camp. I don't really care. But for those
I need to justify my investment.
Exactly. Justify my purchase. For those who genuinely go,
I'm sorry.
Calm down, man.
I'm sorry.
For those who genuinely have concerns that, come on, why is it that here we are, we're in March now, Microsoft has been all but silent, Tunic is coming, but then what? Stalker is gone. We don't think Redfall will be here on time. What else do they got?
Okay,
blah, 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 blah. What do you say to that?
Again, again, for context, right? In January, they said, what are you going to do? I know we just got Halo and Forza, but what now? And then they said, what now? We're buying Activision and putting this thing. Hold on a minute. Let me finish.
Activision won't matter until 2023.
I understand that. People said, what are they doing now? What are they doing to combat these timed exclusives that Sony is buying? And Microsoft said, oh yeah, hold this Activision. And by the way, here's Hitman 3 inside of Game Pass. That's what they did in January. In February, Crossfire X was a complete miss, but they did put that in there along with Total War on PC.
By the way, that campaign is now playable inside Game Pass.
Who cares? But the point is, they put Warhammer in there and also announced that they were doing the baseball game, MLB 2022.
Yep.
And then for this month, they announced Guardians of the Galaxy. And we know that Tunic is also coming this month. So
these are all the
every
games
month
coming
there's
out in
something
March.
in there.
These are the
right?
March games right now. There we go.
For now, but they do that in 2 drops.
Yeah.
So when we get to there may be another drop in March.
Yeah,
or
halfway in the month there will be another drop, most likely. Yeah.
But this is my point. Like they are dropping things in Game Pass every month, and there is news that comes out every month. But I feel like we kind of live in this sort of instant gratification. What have you done for me lately?
You know, they're not doing it,
and we can't really have these conversations around it.
So I will agree with you, but I will say that the smoke that I think is righteous on them is they drop it like this. Oh, by the way, here's the drop. Blop, and they drop all these games, right? And they add like games like Guardians of the Galaxy, one among many games that are now a cloud exclusive, included in the cloud. What do you call it? Flight Simulator. They're not making enough fanfare for the games they're releasing, even though, in my opinion, some of them deserve it.
Well, here's another just like strategic, and I want to ask this to the chat as well. So Programmatic Eagle and Slow-Mo and Pixel and everybody listening. Would it be wise to be very vocal in February? And I know we just got into March now. I mean, we're a third of the way through March, but you know what I'm saying. Would it be wise right now when Horizon and Elden Ring and GT7 are sucking up all of the sort of oxygen to really try to go against that tsunami of news coverage that's going in other directions? Isn't it smarter to release things like strike strategically? So now when we get to the second half of March and the beginning of April, who has anything coming out? Wouldn't that be the time? I
will counteract your narrative there and say Elden Ring, when we started this conversation, and people can tell me I'm wrong, but Elden Ring was not slated to be the only conversation in the room. It was not, Elden Ring.
But the level, it was supposed to be Horizon.
Exactly. Which tells you that you don't walk into any of these conversations with the assumption that you know exactly what's going to be.
No, but everyone was talking about how February was going to be a monster in terms of the games that were coming out.
But February hasn't been a monster. February has been Elden Ring month. It doesn't matter who's here. Elden Ring has taken the cake. So
let's not ignore again Shadow Warriors 3.
Yeah, Shadow Warrior 3, great game. Most people aren't even talking about it because Elden Ring sucked up all the oxygen.
So why would you?
Don't forget that Phil just made a trip over to Japan not long before Elden Ring's release. They would have known what Elden Ring was.
Yeah,
before it released.
And Phil was playing Elden Ring.
Most hyped game according to
Phil
the
was playing Elden Ring before we even knew it was called Elden Ring. Remember, he has said this. He's come out and said, it's their most ambitious title ever. He's been playing various builds of it. Before we even knew what it was called, he was playing it. So I think they knew what was about to happen with that.
I completely agree with Everborn. They kind of went. I'd say they purposefully have gone silent to let everything else breathe. Let everything else breathe, and then once everyone's, we've got ID next month, and then it'll only be another couple of months after that we get some news. 110%.
I think we're gonna get good news in April. For like a big game that we surprised is going into Game Pass. But again, what is coming out in April from anybody?
Hey, Tunic,
because it was supposed to be Forspoken, but that's not anymore. So what do we got?
Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, April 5th.
Are you serious?
I kid you not.
Okay, keep going.
Keep going. He says, "No, there's not." I hear you. There's not, and of course, Trek to Yumi. Which they just say spring, but we're presuming that it will be April, May, that area. They did push back Saints Row to August, so that's lost. That was supposed to be there as well, but yeah, no, I hear you.
So basically,
by and large, I don't
have anything in April.
Yeah, no one has anything in April right now. No one has any. April seems to be a quiet time, and we don't know when Atomic Heart drops. We don't know if it's going to be fall, if it's going to be spring. We don't know any of that stuff. So there's still and Shredder's Revenge.
I need that in my life.
We need it in our lives immediately. Shredder's Revenge. Come on now. There is still a lot of stuff in the middle that we really don't know where they will drop. But you know, we have to be
so. And I make this whole point to say, if you know everyone's going to be playing Elden Ring or Horizon anyway, why not use your marketing dollars where you'll get the best bang for your buck?
True. Completely understood. Yeah, completely true. But okay, so I guess and I'll let you go, Risky, but I guess what I will say is, I guess the point of this conversation is,
and that's hold on, Massarect has a point. Stalker was their plan for April.
I love that name, sir. I love that name. Massarect, of course. Thank you, sir, for being here. Yes, that was their plan for April, and of course now that has been derailed for.
So they smartly said, "Hey, let February be February. We know that's stacked, and then we'll come in April with a big game because nobody had anything planned."
Yeah, and that is a good question, man. That is a good question, Lucius Augustus. Yes, Atomic Heart is a Russian game. How do we think the current
that's not coming out this year? Let me save you some trouble, Lucius. You ain't getting it. Hopefully you get it, but you're not getting it this year.
You think so? You're coming out and saying nope, it's not coming out this year. Done.
We already lost Exomecha, right?
True.
Stalker 2's gone.
Well, but Stalker 2 is made in Ukraine, so that makes sense.
Okay, and where is Atomic Heart made?
Russia.
Yeah.
Are we doing any business with them right now?
No.
Okay.
True. Yeah,
so forget about that game.
Yeah, they have pulled that brings up a very interesting point. Even if the game is done and ready to ship today, they will not be able to ship today because now no one's doing any business with Russia. Ooh.
That includes Microsoft, Sony, and everybody else, and Nintendo.
So it has nothing to do with whether the game is going to hit delays or whatever. Even if it's done, they are not allowed to sell their game. Interesting. Yeah, so again, that does bring that up. Yeah.
Forget about Atomic Heart.
Yep, forget about Atomic Heart. That is so sad. So I will be the one-man show that will continue to pimp this game until it gets released. What is it? And it's hard to pimp because, boy, this game has a very hard name that I have a very hard time pronouncing, but I still keep pronouncing it and I keep talking about it because it needs to be remembered. Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. That is the spiritual successor to anybody? No?
Jet Set Radio.
There you go. Exactly. Including the same people that did the music for Jet Set Radio will be doing it for this game. And this is also slated to release sometime in 2022. You know, could be in the summertime. I don't think it's a fall Christmas game. You know, I don't think it's at that level. But there are lots of these very interesting, cool indies that are slated to jump in and really, like, you know, throw a wrench in the works, as it were. Give us that Death's Door effect coming this year.
To your point with what you were saying about April, there's nothing in May either. There's nothing. There is nothing. We have nothing coming. So I think this kind of goes to the point. I think PlayStation guys will start asking the questions soon as well. There's a lot slated.
Let me stop you.
Well,
wait
until there's an Xbox show. Wait until there's an Xbox show.
Ask any questions, and they will continue to remind you how good February and March were.
Yeah, that's probably true. You're probably right there. But if they're smart, they will. I mean, but there's a lot coming.
But here's the thing, risk it. They're not smart. But go ahead.
Oh, stop it. Enough now. On that note, I think we're at the end of this conversation because he's now getting slanderous towards other parts of the community. Calm down.
It's getting late. Sorry.
It's getting late. Clearly, he's getting punchy. All right. So, yes, I guess the long story short, breathe, people. Woosah. Breathe. Hold the ears. Woosah. You'll be fine. Games are coming. And I'm sure that
just wait for E3.
Oh God, yeah, that's a whole different conversation.
Man, I hope that comes back. That's like something I got to do. It's my bucket list.
Yeah, somebody else needs to fill that vacuum. Maybe not the ESA, but somebody
Only
else.
Jeff Keighley can say.
Oh, stop it! Don't go there. And when I say somebody else, I mean let the Keigleys be the Keigleys. I need somebody else, please.
Yeah.
Some other entity needs to come and fill that vacuum because, boy, it's necessary. But you know what? This has been a great conversation. I appreciate everybody that has tuned into this show and continues to tune into this show. We have 43 viewers right now still tuning in and hanging out. We appreciate you guys. If you haven't chosen to hit that like button, please do so. If you haven't subscribed yet, please continue to subscribe. As more content comes out, as more things are shown, I will start diversifying the content that I'll be putting out on this channel. I'm thinking that when the Steam Deck finally hit, look at the blinking. When the Steam Deck finally hits the streets,
look at the chat to understand that.
Okay. No. When the Steam Deck finally hits the streets, I may be putting some stuff out there. No, I know. I see what you're doing there with Mr. Mass Erect. Yes,
pause.
And that is a name in the chat.
I'm just going to throw a pause on that,
just so you know. But yes, so please hit the like button, hit subscribe if you haven't done so already, and risk it for the biscuit. Thank you so much, good sir, for taking time out of your busy schedule, for coming back to the past, because he's in Australia, he's in the future, coming back to the past to come and chat with us, talking games this Saturday morning for us. Sir, thank you very much. Tell the fine people where they can find you if they want to catch up on Xbox Infinite podcast. Where can they find you? How they can keep up with you this week? Go for it.
Oh, you can find me on Twitter under riskit4tb, and you can find me on my YouTube channel, which is, can I get my finger right? If you spell my name like this, you will find me on YouTube. And we have a podcast there. It's 7 p.m. EST every Friday, where we have Jedi Knight Peter and Infinite Umbra or Eternal Umbra or Tarnished Umbra, whatever he's calling himself this week.
The Umbra.
The Umbra. And we basically talk news, reviews, and what we think is going on in the world. One thing I'll point out, Everborn, you haven't looked behind me over the top of my head here. You haven't noticed what that is.
Hold on. I see that Sonic. I see that Sonic in the background, sir.
That's from 1994, that poster.
Hey. 1994. Amazing. Wow. Okay, then.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube. You can probably find me on Instagram, but I wouldn't bother. I'm not there very much. But yeah, hit me up. Pop into my chat. Say hello. It's been a great, man. Thank you for having me on. It's been a fantastic show. Some very interesting topics that we got to talk about today. And Everborn, we're definitely going to have you on, man. We've had Kay, and we'll have to have you on in the show pretty soon.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you being here. It's always good to have somebody on who can roll with the punches, as we like to go back and forth and stab each other with sticks. We appreciate you for being here, rolling with the punches with us. Mr. Everborn Saga, how about you, man? I hear you're busy this Saturday. You got a lot going on. What you going?
Yeah, man. Listen, everybody, after this show at 1:00, I'm gonna be on Mr. Xbox University's channel, and we're gonna be talking about the news of the week. So head over there and check us out. I'm sure there will be all sorts of shenanigans to get into. But as for me, I'm Everborn Saga everywhere. I'm here every Saturday on the Gaming Circle podcast, as you know, because you're here. Every Monday, I'm on, along with Mr. K. Asante, Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick XL on his channel. And at some point, whenever Mr. K. Asante decides to watch the Batman,
I'm watching the Batman this weekend. Calm yourself.
We can bring back On the Real on my channel, which is
so now it's all my fault, right?
It's all your fault. All your fault. The people are asking for it.
Of course.
The people are asking for it, and you haven't. You're stopping them from getting what they want. Now, Everborn Saga everywhere. That's Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, Oculus Quest 2. Jerry Mack. It's not MetaQuest. I would never call it MetaQuest.
Crap. Nope.
Oculus Quest 2.
That's
right. Any gaming platform except for Nintendo, you can find me at Everborn Saga, and I'm not giving out my social security number, so I guess I'm playing Nintendo alone. But also Everborn Saga on YouTube, and most importantly, everbornsaga.com, where now available, if you missed the Kickstarter, you can get the Redlands. It is available for sale right now on everbornsaga.com, and every copy comes signed by my quill pen from France. Yes. So check it out, everbornsaga.com. The new book, The Redlands, is available. And if you missed any of the other books, you can catch them all right there.
So
and for our international listeners, they are also available on Amazon. But if you are in the States, please go to everbornsaga.com because Amazon are a bunch of effing crooks.
Do you promise us that you'll wear the Negro Damas outfit with your quill when you're signing? I want to see the whole situation.
No, I will only wear that when Microsoft inevitably acquires
Sega, right? Also, yes. So you're up in the ante. So not only will you shave your mustache and your beard, you will wear the whole Negro Damas outfit and walk around and
the Joker steps in the Bronx.
On the Joker steps in the Bronx. Okay, yes. And you'll do the dance, the whole deal.
Yes.
Man, now I want it to happen just to see that.
Exactly.
That'd be fantastic.
Just putting that energy out there.
Okay, so for Mr. Everborn Saga and Mr. Riskin for the Biscuit, I say thank you all for being here, for showing up, for always continuing to support the content. We always really appreciate you guys coming out here and having a great conversation. We had Slow Mo in the building. We had Pragmatic Eagle, Big Mad Mo. I saw Mag jumped in here for a bit. Even Mr. Boomstick himself. Slow Mo Backslap, a bunch of folks that always come in here and always make it such a great conversation for all. I also see you guys who happen to listen to this on audio. I barely do any kind of promotion for it, but the audio listenership has been growing exponentially, and I really appreciate it. If you happen to leave any kind of reviews, as soon as you do, I get notified, and I will definitely read your review out on the show. So I appreciate you listening on the audio podcast, whether it be on the Google Podcasts or the Apple Podcasts, all your various favorite podcast services. We're putting it out there as well. So thank you guys so much for your continued support. And we will see you all next week. For myself, for Everborn, for Riskin.
Hey, one thing. Before, again, people talking all of this about games. Don't forget Crusader Kings is coming to Game Pass at the end of the month.
We may want to do a segment where we bring up all the new stuff coming to Game Pass and maybe play some of it or something like that.
Yeah, and that segment we're gonna call it "Stop Crying." Okay, I'm done for the day. That's it.
We'll call it "Stop Crying." So for myself, Mr. Riskin for the Biscuit, and Mr. Everborn Stop Crying Saga, we say have a good rest of your weekend. Until next week.
You know what? I'm changing my name on Twitter to that.
Oh God.